So, dear friends, we will now start our session, today's session. I, Sandeep Savaria, on behalf of Central Kolkata CA Study Circle, EIRC, welcomes you all today on a very relevant topic on issues in compliance with Companies Act 2013 from the perspective of the auditor. Today, we have with us CA Yagnesh Desai to share with us his experience on this topic. So now requesting our study circle executive member CA Pawanji Agarwal to please give a special address to this session and also the introduction to our today's speaker. Pawanji, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. So today's topic being...
Yes, sir.
Today's topic is issuing compliances with Companies Act 2013 from the auditor's perspective. So we must have seen that off and on changes are being made in various acts, and Companies Act is not an exception to that. And we must have seen had already been made, like RO 2020, which was to be effective from 1st of April 2020, but they had deferred it for the financial year 21-22. That is the have also been made in the software in the of the auditor. So like that, various changes, significant to some extent, has been made. Some audit trail has to be kept, and like that. So to discuss all the issues we are having today, we are fortunate to have amongst ourselves CA Yagnesh Desai from Mumbai, who is a member of our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and also a member of American CPA. He has been practicing since August 1983, has wide knowledge of audit of corporate and taxation matters. He actively associate course of India conducted by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and trainer for diploma IFRS examination conducted by ACCA UK. He has composed and delivered key lectures for the accounting standard for our CA Institute. He is speaker on various accounting and auditing standards at various seminars of ICAI. He has also delivered motivational speeches at various national conventions and student conferences. Between April 2009 till date, he has already delivered 1,013 lectures, and today it is his 1,014th lecture. So recently, he was awarded Icon 2021 for the Mumbai City by Times Group, and he has a apt hobby comprising music shows, taken part in half marathon. He is also a co-opted member of Accounting Standard Board of our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So we welcome you, sir. Now I request Yagnesh sir to deliver his speech.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Over to Yagnesh sir.
थैंक यू पवन जी, थैंक यू पवन जी। आप ही का आर्टिकल आया था ना यस्टरडे टेक्स्ट गुरु में अबाउट दी टीडीएस मैटर। बेहतरीन आर्टिकल था, सो मेनी कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स टू पवन जी। पर पता नहीं आपने कुछ बैकग्राउंड रखा है ना, तो आपकी सूरत एकदम क्लियर नहीं दिखती है सर। यू केप्ट सम बैकग्राउंड इन द आपके वीडियो में रखा है ना, वेब उसमें व्हेन यू नो बैकग्राउंड तो थोड़ा क्लैरिटी बराबर नहीं आती। वो दुल्ला दुल्ला सा आते हैं।
मैं थोड़ा सा
या सो
ठीक है, मैं हटवा दूं।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, तो मैं आपको नहीं पहचानू ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, बिकॉज हमारी आपकी पहचान लास्ट ईयर से है सर, राइट? ओके सर, so I must compliment you to you, but now let me check. I think I'm sure you must have made me the co-host, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me see now. What can you see? Can you see
Yeah.
PPT? Is
It's
PPT
visible,
visible
sir.
to you? Okay.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
All right, sir. So good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for giving opportunity. और मुझे दुख इस बात का है कि जो शख्स ने जो जनाब ने हरिराम जी ने ये कांटेक्ट कराया था, वो इनवाइट किया था कि भाई चलो आप आइए, और वही आज गायब है. But I'm sure you must have something very compelling reason. But पवन जी, बहुत अच्छा लगा आपको सुन के. But sorry, I could not recognize, इसलिए मैंने 2 बार पूछा कि are you the same पवन जी जिनका आर्टिकल टेक्स्ट गुरु में आया था? It is a very good article and we are proud of you. So friends, today we'll see, actually हरिराम जी को मैंने कहा था कि ये जो मेरा व्याख्यान है मोस्टली 1-1.5 घंटा में रहेगा, ज्यादा नहीं चलेगा. उन्होंने बोला कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ा आप 10-15 मिनट you provide for the question answer, and you can always dwell upon some other relevant topics also. And certain topics, certain hints I'll give you from the perspective of the maybe how to protect yourself, your client, in case they are financial creditors and they want to recover their money under the IBC. तो उसके लिए क्या एख्तियार बरतनी है and क्या precaution you have to take. I'll give a small hint about that. So let me write down in the end that how to protect your client who is a financial creditor. That means जिन्होंने पैसे दिए हैं दूसरी कंपनियों को, उनको उनकी सुरक्षा कैसे की जाए, उनका बचाया कैसे जाए, and what are the certain things they have to follow in order for them to claim the money from the under the insolvency and bankruptcy code and compliance. So I'm just writing this. Okay, friends, but right now we are thinking, we are viewing this from the perspective of the auditor. Mr. Moderator, please kindly mute others. Sandeep ji,
Yes, sir.
आप सबको mute कर दीजिए, please. Please. So friends, I must give the credit to the documents or the publication of the ICI, which is implementation of the IFC, MCA website and the CARO. And these are the gentlemen who helped us, including a couple of company secretary working with us in our office. These are the abbreviations and all this. So friends, mostly when it comes to the compliance with the Companies Act, somehow the CA fraternity is lacking and lagging behind in so many aspects. The reference, the direct, of course, we are connected with the Companies Act inextricably, but more so in the audit report, more so in the CARO. There are specific references to a particular sections about section 73 of the Companies Act, which is about the deposits, and this is the most devastating act. And we all know that DPT3 has to be filed for the companies which are accepting deposit and all this. There are many relaxations about the deposit also, but the second section is about 185, 186 of the Companies Act, where we have to explicitly report on the loans given by the company to the directors. So मैं कहता हूँ sir, if you ask me from the perspective of an auditor, I would say 3 sections are very, very, very important. One is section 70. Of course, 143 auditors' responsibilities there, definitely. But besides that, where we have to be very careful that this is the area where we need to really vouch for it, whether the company has borrowed funds and is it eligible to borrow the fund? Is it considered to be deposit? Is it considered to be not a deposit? If it is considered to be deposit, then there are a lot of compliances under the Companies Act, more so section 73. Section 73 is 6 is applicable to the public company, so we are not going to. And here, my focus is only for the small and medium enterprise firm of auditors and small and medium enterprise of chartered of the companies. So basically, if you see, these are the references in the audit report as to the Rule 11 of the Companies Act rules. And these are the matters covered under section 143 subsection 3 and clause J, and there it is written as may be prescribed, and these are prescribed in Rule 11 of the Companies Audit and Auditors Rule. I'll come to you about this. There is a discrepancy notice in many of the audit reports. So friends, we have a CARO, we have the requirement of the Rule 11 of the Companies Act, which, sorry to jump gun, which talks about whether the company has disclosed any impact, if any, of the pending litigation on its financial statements. Sir, I have observed that very rightly the auditor has made a reference of the litigation in the CARO report. They have also made the reference of litigation in the contingent liability, but they have failed to make disclosure about this. And friends, on paper, we always say that, of course, technically and legally, the preparation of the financial statements and including notes to accounts and disclosure is the responsibility of the management. But tell me something, tell me, Ram Avtarji, I am asking you this question. How many management of the companies of a small private limited are doing these functions themselves? मुझे बहुत सचोट उत्तर दीजिए, चाहे भले भी ये रिकॉर्डिंग होता है, तो अगर आप फैक्ट बताएं सर. Are they preparing notes to accounts? Are they preparing accounting policy statements? Yes or no, sir? Ram Avtarji, आप काफी उत्सुक नजर आ रहे हैं, and I seem to be very active. So मैंने आपको MTV बकरा बना दिया. So Ram Avtarji, would you like to unmute yourself? Sandeep ji, please unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir. Sir, I want this session to be interactive, and ऐसा नहीं सोच रहा हूँ कि बतौर कोई न्यूज़ रीडर के भांति मैं आपको बोलते जाऊं और आप सुनते जाइए, you know. So I want this to be very interesting. I want to know from you also, and accordingly I'll mold my training today. हाँ, बोलो. रामोता जी, आपका क्या?
Sir, chartered account auditor is preparing the notes on account, balance sheet in most of the cases.
Correct.
Barring some few, you can say MNC, etc.
करेक्ट. सो वो कैश फ्लो भी हमको बना लेते थे, और टैली में जो बोलते हैं कि सर वो अकाउंटिंग मुकादम जैसे समझ बैठते हैं हमको सर. इसके अकाउंटिंग और ऑडिट के विषय में जो भी कुछ है, यू ओनली डू इट सर. सर आपको तो घर के है सर, कितने साल से कंपनी संभाल रहे हैं, आप ही की कंपनी है, आप ही सब कीजिए, you know, all do it. So though we know technically that it is the responsibility of the management, but actually we are doing so we have to secure ourselves, we have to help ourselves, and we have to make sure that कहीं इसमें क्षति न हो जाए. अच्छा, दूसरी बहुत अहम बात बता दूं सर. Many people argue that ROC has never issued any notices, or they issue notices in a very rare cases, like income tax TDS. If you make some mistake, say you'll get a notice. You know, the system generated pop-up where you made this mistake, error, this kind of thing. The moment you file TDS returns, in 3-4 days you get an error message. It is not the case with the ROC. So many people argue, companies owners argue, that management argue कि sir, why you are making so much तकलीफ, you know, इतना क्यों करते हैं कई बार. And when there is a change of auditor, they always say पहले CA ने तो ऐसा नहीं कहा था, he never said like this. Yes or no, Ram Avtar जी, बोलते हैं कि नहीं?
बोलते हैं सर.
वो पहले नहीं कर रहे थे, आप ही मांग रहे हैं. अरे सर, हम कहते हैं वो चल गया, अब बात छोड़िए. So people, the management think that, you know, the ROC is lying in a lackluster manner, and they don't bother about issuing notices. But I tell you one thing, the notice issued to your client or to you for that, it may be 1 in a lakh, but it doesn't matter whether it is 1 in a lakh or 1 in a thousands or 1 in a 10 crores, 1 in a crore. For you, it is a notice means notice. इसमें फिर आप वो तुलना नहीं कर सकते कि केवल 0.1% प्रतिशत में नोटिस आई मुझे, अब मैं, बट भुगतना तो आपको ही है. You cannot hold this, you know, it is 1% or 0.1%. वहां पे परसेंटेज कुछ काम नहीं आते. Now I'll narrate an anecdote with you. एक प्रसंग आपसे डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ कि a very small private limited company, sir, hardly it has been there in the practice since last 5 years. Zanav has started a startup company. Startup company is not registered. He started selling his project, his dreams to various people. Ye PPT, DAG, wo pitching karte the, and then he gave rosy picture to one gentleman investor. That investor has invested some funds, and very big mistake made by the company secretary, and the company is as under. The party paid, instead of paying at this face value of rupees 10, but they paid only 5 rupees per share. So they were supposed to invest about 1 crore rupees. Now, what the company secretary did voluntarily on his own, that instead of treating partly paid shares, she issued shares of 50 lakhs rupees. Because the party has paid 50 lakhs rupees, so she thought that let us issue shares of 50 lakhs rupees fully paid. Big mistake made. Big mistake made. Because had this shares been a partly paid share, this party would not been able to file a suit on him. Now, suit has been filed by the investor on the promoter, and now hear the story. Then it came to a chartered accountant. Who was doing this? ROC work. Now, for us CAs, ROC work means filing the annual return, AOC 4 and MGT 7 and DPT 3 and DIR 3. We know only this, but we never comply with issuing notices for the board of meeting. Issues notices for the वो बना के रखते थे. We'll keep it after the everything is over. We make one deck as per last year's copy, change the dates and timing in there, and do that. Not send notices to anybody, neither by email nor by register post CD. And then the allegation came on the chartered accountant for the fact that you have not performed your duties. Same company. Now I'm coming to that same company had investment in the mutual funds. The same company had investment in the mutual fund. Now, mutual fund and the shares. So it's a listed, is a quoted investments. It is known as a quoted investment. We know it very well. Now, when it comes to the quoted investment, even for a small private limited company, what is required as per the accounting standard AS13 is to see that you have to disclose in the notes to accounts market value, aggregate market value of this investment. Sir, प्रमोद जी, वैसे वो देखा जाए तो बहुत ही less compliance है, less cumbersome compliance. प्रमोद जी, आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कीजिए, हम आपसे भी सुनना चाहते हैं आपकी राय.
जरूर सर.
तो सर, वैसे देखा जाए तो ये नॉन कंप्लायंस, अब कंप्लायंस में वो भूल गए सर. अब लास्ट मिनट पे आते, एक तो लास्ट मिनट पे सब टेली के डेटा भेज देते, सर आपके हिसाब से जो मन में आपको ठीक लगे कर दो. करेक्ट. अच्छा देखिए सर, मगर टैक्स हम इससे नहीं भरना चाहते हैं, वो आप जाने सर. हाँ, बस जितना एडवांस टैक्स टीडीएस है उतना करके देख लो, ज्यादा हम भरना नहीं चाहते, बहुत बड़ा टैक्स. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग मैंडेट्स दे गिव. And you never know, वो बेचारे सीए को 2 दिन पहले भी नोटिस वो मिली होगी टेली डेटा, and then he has to complete. So the mistake done by the CA was the poor professional brother forgot to write the market value, aggregate market value of the quoted investment. तो गलती से whatever is the cost of the quoted investment, वही copy paste होगी. That means essentially the cost is considered wrongly by a chartered accountant in the report as the market value. छोटी सी बात थी सर, ना तो EPS के फर्क पड़ा, ना तो इनकम टैक्स की लायबिलिटी फर्क, ना तो कोई भी जीएसटी की लायबिलिटी. If you go to see, this is not debt material. मगर there is a fight between the promoters and the directors and the shareholders of the company. तो उन्होंने क्या किया, the fighting director or the outgoing director or the shareholders से, अब तुझे बताता हूँ बेटे, और तेरे CA को भी बता. So CA, poor fellow, has been victimized in this case. And it has been shared by the Central Council member Prakash Sharma ji when I was delivering a lecture on the 6th of June for Jaipur. So at that point in time, he shared this information that majority of the cases coming to the disciplinary committee are from or because of the dispute amongst or between the shareholders. तो सर ये मत सोचिए कि आरओसी के पास टाइम नहीं है, इसमें क्या होगा, चलता है, no big deal, it's immaterial, don't do so. So please try and see that you make a proper compliance.
सर ऐसे ये डिस्क्लोजर जो है मटेरियल है, इमटेरियल नहीं है, क्योंकि कोई कंपनी का अगर स्टेज है शार्प डिमिनिशन इन द वैल्यू ऑफ द कोटेड इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, इनकम टैक्स में फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, लेकिन अगर बैलेंस शीट को अगर ढंग से कोई स्टडी करे और पता चले कि 50% से ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट हमारा कोटेड इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में है एंड जिसमें शार्प डिक्लाइन हुई, इट मींस इट हैज अफेक्टेड द हेल्थ ऑफ द कंपनी आल्सो ना।
नहीं वो सर है, बट ये जो कंपनी की बात करो ना सर, इन्वेस्टमेंट था महज 10 लाख का सर, और मार्केट
वो बात अलग है, मैं उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात नहीं कर रहा हूं। मैं
सर मैं वही
टोटलिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात कर रहा हूं।
सर मैं वही बात कर रहा हूँ सर। तो चाहे कोई चीज मटेरियल हो ना मटेरियल हो, whether it is impact EPS, whether it is impact the GST, or whether it is impacting the reserves of the company, or impairment है कि नहीं है, आप ये मत सोचिए कि it is immaterial। मैं कहने का आशय वही है सर कि it may be immaterial in any perspective, but as far as compliance is concerned, it is a compliance and it is a non-compliance, and then for this you could be answerable for that। So मेरे कहने का सर मकसद यही है कि many people means not just we but management thing, and then they dissuaded from compliance during the proper compliance। सर छोड़ो इतना कौन करते हैं ऐसा नहीं सर, but ultimately sir don't forget that for them it's a sign, for me is my life। For them it's just a sign, but for me it's my life sir। So point is that let us
no, what was the decision of disciplinary committee in this?
सर वो तो केस अभी तो सर वो जनाब ने एनसीएलटी को लेटर लिखा है, उसके बाद सीए में लिखा है, सीए में अभी सर ये 4 महीने पहले की बात है सर। एंड नाउ तो सर पीपल गो टू द एनसीएलटी सर, फटाक से एनसीएलटी में चले जाते हैं। बट सर वो तो एनीवे इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग। द पॉइंट इज the message I want to convey you, my dear friends, is that if anyone is under impression कि भाई there are no notices from the ROC or the MCA or the CA, so don't be under that wrong impression। You could be victimized at any point in time, and for that कोई बचाने वाला नहीं होगा सर। तब वो सब एक हो जाएंगे और आपको बोलेंगे नहीं सर आपको सोचना चाहिए था ना, you should have thought of it, you never drew my attention, or then you did this mistake, why you're holding me responsible for that? Okay, so anyway we'll see that। And then certain written representation, we write it very clearly in the report that none of the directors are disqualified from being appointed as under section 164(2). But how many of us are taking this? How many of us these are taking the undertaking plan? And that forms part of your audit documentation. So don't forget, this is forming part of your audit documentation. So you have to make sure that you will discuss in great detail. And something good has happened as far as the reporting on the internal financial control with reference to the financial statements. There are some good things that happen now. I believe Pramodji has said very clearly that the CARO 2016 is applicable now, and 2020 is applicable for the financial year 21-22. So current financial year. We're not going to discuss about it. And so one very big confusion has happened, and I want to clarify on that. On 31st March 2021, ICI has come out with some kind of a clarification about the 4 levels for level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 levels for the non-company entities. Now, as the name indicates, it is for the non-company entities. So these 4 levels are not applicable to private limited company or the LLPs. If you recollect, Ramavdaji, I think this is making waves now, that the relaxation has been given for the compliance, and this the limits have been increased drastically from 50 crores to 250 crore rupees.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes,
so
sir.
Please remember that those things are not applicable. Those 4 levels are not applicable to the private limited company or the public limited companies. केवल वो applicable है non-company entities, that means partnership firm, AOP, HUFs, and body of individuals, and the trust. So be careful about it. Second clarification, which by now everyone must be knowing about it, that the changes in the Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 of the Schedule 3 to the Companies Act also are not applicable for financial statements 2021. They will be applicable again to financial year 21-22. So just be careful about it. But our advice is that try and prepare the data for 2021 as a memoranda data for the next financial year, because next financial year you have to give the comparatives. Now, sir, this is the section which I am referring to, section 143.3, and this 11 is a rule 11. Now, this is covered in section 143.3, 143.3J, and then the matter specified. So, whether the company has disclosed the impact, if any, of the pending litigation on its financial statements or not, sir. We have seen that blindly the report says, in the main body of the report, there are no pending litigations in the company. But when you look at the contingent liability statement, we found that in 5 cases there were mention of this litigations. The point is that you must try and see, connecting India, and see what is written in one part of the statement. Is your report contradicting that statement or not? Sometimes you mention in the Caro report the list of the outstanding demands and all this, but there is no mention of this in your contingent liability or even the provision for that. Correct? So whether the company has made any provision required towards the foreseeable losses, if any, on the long-term contract, including derivative contracts. But somehow people read that no, that this is for the derivative contracts, but it is also for the, now, sir, in COVID-19, many companies have to make this kind of the provision. They had made the provision, but despite being made the provision, this para was not touched at all. That whether the company has made any provision as required under any law or accounting standard, you have to make the provision. You have to make the provision for the restructuring activities, restructuring operations. Many companies have shut down this, made this 10 division ka 1 kar diya, 2 kar diya. Accounting which was done at various places, now with the advent of technology, they synchronize and made it at one place. So despite being made the provision, yahan pe log nahi likhe. Sir, I have seen, I don't know about your experience, but मैं जानना चाहूंगा दोनों हमारे सज्जनों से, राम अवतार जी and Pramod Kumar ji, I want to see from you that as far as these 3 paras are concerned, they seem to be most neglected sibling of the auditing report. Because normally हम गौर करते हैं कारों पे and the emphasize of other matter paragraph पे करते हैं, पर ये paragraph में मैं देखता हूँ कि एक standard कलम जैसी हो गई सर. क्या राय है आपकी, बताइए सर.
सर, ये डिपेंड करता है. पर्सनली अगर मैं अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात करूं तो मैं तीनों चीज को बहुत ध्यान से देखता हूं, क्योंकि जब कारों की रिपोर्टिंग है या फिर आपने जो कंटिंजेंट लायबिलिटी है उसको जरूर मैं देखता हूं. मैं इसमें कोई दो बात नहीं है.
हाँ, बट ये
जो डेरिवेटिव ट्रांजैक्शंस करते हैं, डेरिवेटिव में डील करते हैं, उनके मटेरियल लॉसेस का
सर यही मैं कह रहा हूँ, ये केवल डेरिवेटिव्स पे सीमित नहीं है सर. ये केवल सिर्फ इंक्लूडिंग डेरिवेटिव्स बट नॉट लिमिटेड टू डेरिवेटिव्स.
हाँ, दैट आई अंडरस्टैंड, लेकिन ऐसे इसको भी सर देखता हूँ, ऐसी बात नहीं है
सर. वो डेरिवेटिव नहीं कर रहे, कोई जिंदगी में एक्सपोर्ट नहीं किया, इंपोर्ट नहीं किया, डेरिवेटिव नाम की चीज नहीं सुनती है, उससे डरते होंगे. बट देखिए सर, any foreseeable losses on account of the long-term contract, including derivatives, not limited to derivatives. तो सर ये सब चीजें हैं ना, तो मोस्टली मैंने देखा है कि ऑडिट रिपोर्ट्स में these lines are standard, despite the fact that there are litigations going on. And what do you do, sir? Whether the company has disclosed the impact. So what, as an auditor, we have to do, कि वो impact का विश्लेषण मैनेजमेंट ने किया है कि नहीं, तो then we can guide them, that you can say at the most management कि the litigation may not is not likely to be impacting the company's operations in a material manner, or it is going to be impacting the material manner. You don't have to quantify कि कितने का लॉस भुगतना पड़ेगा. एक लिस्टेड कंपनी की बात कर रहा हूँ जिनमें infrastructure company thi, and they were making roads for the some municipal corporations. So those municipal corporations has filed a criminal case on the this infrastructure company that you have not done the complied with the certain technical norms, and as a result of which the roads quality is some turn out to be very pathetically poor, and the cases were going on, investigations were going on, the matter was published in the newspaper, in the media, everywhere. So then the auditor rightly advised that you say the litigation is going on, and the company, the impact, is not going to have any material impact on the company's operation, as the company is defending the matter in the court of law. Now that was forming part of the notes to accounts. All that auditor has done is that the companies has disclosed the impact of the pending litigation of financial position in its financial statements, wide note number XYZ. Finish, sir. उस बाद तो 3 साल हो गए, केस भी खत्म हो गया, गुड भी हो गया, no action has been taken by anybody, neither by MCA nor by anyone else. What they've done, he done the proper compliance, sir. कई बार sir, we or the client are averse, AVERS, to make some disclosure, to make some compliances. राम अवतार जी, क्या ख्याल है आपका? मैंने तो प्रमोद जी ने चेंज किया होगा अपने रिपोर्ट में, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, but I am being seen that these 3 items are as if ये स्टैंडर्ड है, उसमें बदलाव करना जरूरी है ही नहीं, ऐसा समझते हैं
सर। वो कॉपी पेस्ट हो जाता है लोगों का जनरली।
सॉरी,
कॉपी पेस्ट हो जाता है, जो लास्ट ईयर दिया है वही चला जाता है,
वही चला जाता है, वो
बहुत जगह देखते हैं वही चला जाता है।
सर वो भी एक बड़ी समस्या है, बड़ा बहिष्ठान है कि जस्ट सी लास्ट ईयर क्या है करके देख लीजिए, राइट? सो लास्ट ईयर क्या है, मैं दिस रिमाइंड्स मी वन मोर थिंग।
जहां तक मैं बोलूं, क्लॉज ए जो है, वेदर द कंपनी हैज डिस्क्लोज्ड द इंपैक्ट ऑफ द पेंडिंग लिटिगेशन, अगर इसके अंदर भी कोई अगर लास्ट ईयर का क्लॉज देखकर कॉपी पेस्ट करता है, तो आई विल से दैट चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इज अ वेरी वेरी नेग्लिजेंट चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट सर, क्योंकि ये कारों के अंदर में रिपोर्टिंग होती है और बैलेंस शीट के अंदर में हम कंटिन्यूअल लायबिलिटी के अंदर देते हैं। तो इसलिए अगर ये कॉपी पेस्ट कोई करता है ना, तो सर्टेनली इज अ वेरी नेग्लिजेंट। बाकी 2 के ऊपर में तो फिर भी थोड़ा दिया जा सकता है कि वन मे नॉट हैव गॉन फॉर द डिटेल विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दीस 2 थिंग्स।
करेक्ट सर। सर एक बात बताऊं, आपने बहुत अच्छी बात की कि वो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ने नेग्लिजेंस किया है। सर ढेर सारे रिपोर्ट में दिखाऊं जिसमें लिखा है कि वर्ड एज सर्टिफाइड बाय द मैनेजमेंट,
वो तो सर सबसे बड़ा क्राइम है सर, बात है
एज सर्टिफाइड बाय द मैनेजमेंट,
दैट इज द बिगेस्ट क्राइम। सो सर्टिफिकेशन कहीं नहीं होता है, ऑडिटर का काम ऑडिट करना है।
करेक्ट,
हमको सर्टिफिकेशन के ऊपर ऑडिट करनी होती तो बैलेंस शीट भी सर्टिफाई करके दे रहे हैं
सर। तो फिर मैं एफिडेविट ही ले लेता हूं उनसे सर, हाँ उनसे एफिडेविट लेते, वो नोटरी करा देता कि दिस इज ओके सर, है ना सर? कुछ मैं आपको डिस्क्लोजर दिखाऊंगा, आप हंस पड़ेंगे और वो भी पड़ेंगे कि इज दिस द क्वालिटी ऑफ द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट्स व्हेन इट कम्स टू द नोट्स टू अकाउंट्स? यू विल बी रियली शॉक्ड टू लर्न। I'll display this accounting policy statement and then you realize ये तो सब बहुत गहरी बात है। मैं तो सिंपल बात बताऊंगा, जो ऑडिटिंग रिपोर्ट का सिंपल कॉपी पेस्ट भी कर सके ना, व्हाट इज रेवेन्यू रिकग्निशन, व्हाट इज प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट इक्विपमेंट, तो भी बेहतर रहेगा, पर वो भी नहीं किया था, दिखाऊंगा आपको ब्रेक के बाद। ऑलराइट, सो द पॉइंट इज दैट वी हैव टू सी नॉट जस्ट Caro or any other thing, but there are some other aspects which you have to link with the other disclosure in the accounts or the other accounting treatment given the accounting statement.
Sir, here for the purpose of the delegates, whether this first A point, that the impact of the pending litigations on the financial position in the financial statement, how it should be disclosed in a small, it will be better.
I definitely give the example. I give the example, maybe people have skipped it, but let me give the example because I give you a live example of a company, infrastructure company. Now, for support for this infrastructure company, there was a case filed by the municipal corporation, and the case was going on. Matter came in the media also, and the company was even debarred. Company was debarred from making a future bids and all this. Later on, the company got all the contract of XYZ municipal corporation, and the metro rail is a different thing. But all what they did, they asked the management to make a disclosure in the notes to accounts that giving you the proper, very intelligently drafted paragraph. The investigation is going on against the company's operations or the work by XYZ municipal corporation, and company has defended it, and the matter is going on in the court of law. It is the sub judice. The matter is sub judice. Okay, and we are waiting for the outcome. Okay, it however, as per the lawyers, as per the legal counsel's opinion, it may not materially impact the financial position of the company. Correct, because tab tak judgment nahi aaya tha. Until such time judgment comes, you cannot say judgment aata और appeal में गए तो भी बात अलग थी, but judgment ही नहीं आया था. Correct, sir? Fine.
Yes, sir. For here, sir, we are talking about the pending litigations. There in the big companies, there are so many litigations. Thousands of litigations are going on. For every point, we have to give the impact.
See, all the accounting or auditing is always guided by the materiality. Correct. So keeping in mind the materiality, you have to make this disclosure. If it is the litigations are going on, you have to do this. And why am I drawing more attention of this of all my dear friends and the fellow chartered accountants? Because this is one area which is been skipped by many in many reports. And I'm sure the one who asked the question must be aware of this fact.
Yes, sir.
So please be careful. आपको तो केवल एक ही नहीं, yes. Now what you have to do as an auditor? Yes, the company has disclosed the impact, if any, on the financial statement. As an auditor, you're not supposed to say whether the company will win or lose or is going to impact. Company ने disclose किया है कि नहीं, केवल यही कहना है आपको.
तो सर यहाँ पर हम लोग जो करते हैं जनरली the company disclose the refer note number such and such of the financial statement.
Yes,
that is sufficient.
That is agreed. And sir, if you are attentive, मैंने यही कहा था कि they say that the company has made disclose the impact of the pending litigation of its financial position in its financial statements, wide note number XYZ. केवल वही कहता है. अरे सर क्यों सर ऐसी बातें करते हैं? फोन आ गया, विचार भी कई बार विचारधारा भी होती है. मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, आपका सबकॉन्शियस माइंड कोई दूसरा क्वेश्चन फ्रेम कर रहा है.
किसी का फोन आ गया तो उसको फिर बंद करना पड़ा मुझे. मतलब
नहीं
सर बार-बार बीच में पूछ लेते हो तो आई हैव टू बी वेरी अटेंटिव आल्सो.
अरे सर क्यों ऐसा करते हैं सर? एटलीस्ट आप तो काफी एक्टिव सर. ओके, तो एंड द लास्ट वन, whether the company, whether there has been delay in transferring amounts required to be transferred to investors' education and protection funds. अब सब यहाँ पे कम से कम 9 से 10 या 10 से 11 आइटम्स है which needs to be transferred to investors' education and protection fund. But दिल में एक ही घुस गया सर, वो dividend, unclaimed dividend. Normally, we see that it is only unclaimed dividend, but if you look at the section, it talks about this so many items. These are so many items. Unpaid dividend is one of the things, sir. Unpaid is one of the things. But sir, आप देखिए, अभी तो खैर निकल गया, but at one point of time, the application money pending allotment, हम आपने देखा 2013 जो एक्ट आया उससे पहले सदियों से चल रहा था. Yes or no? Application money pending allotment करके जो था. But if you go to see, there are so many other things. Allotment of security and due for the refund, mature deposit of the companies other than the banking companies, mature debenture. So the point is that ये सिर्फ debenture या dividend, unpaid dividend तक सीमित नहीं है. There are many other items. Idea is just have a look at this, nothing else. अब सर बात करते हैं audit report के. Audit report में we talk of compliance with the Companies Act. And sir, हमारी audit report की धरोहर है वो the accounting standards. These have been notified by the Companies Act under section 133. 5 साल पहले की बात अलग थी. Things were different. There were only one accounting standard. Companies Act 1956 की बात करें तो Companies Accounting Standards Rules 2006. Correct? But now, after 2015, we have Indian Accounting Standards, known with the abbreviation of IND-AS. IND-AS. I have seen some companies, the accounting standards specified in section 1, you should actually say that accounting standards specified under section 133 of the Companies Act 2013, read with Rule 7 of Companies Accounts Rules 2014 as amended. I have seen in many reports this statement that the basis of framing of the basis of the preparation of these accounts are the accounting standards rule as notified under section 133 of the Companies Act. Don't say that, because now we have two sets of standard. One is the Ind AS and second is the non-Ind AS. So this is the correct one. Is this is for the if it is an Ind AS, then it is the standard. Keval mere reference to section 133 is not enough now anymore. 197 pay I don't want to dwell much, because section 197, which deals with the remuneration, managerial remuneration, is not applicable to private limited company. Hence, I don't want to dwell much here, because this program is aimed mainly at the small and medium enterprises firms and the entities also. However, I have written something down here, but that is for the reference only. Okay, so this is one area where normally people don't take any management representation of the company. Okay, sir, this remind me. I'm sorry, jumping from one to other thing, but this also remind me one more thing, sir. I think we CA should also do one more thing. That what are the forms which are required to be filed with the ROC by the private limited company? If we are handling the audit and accounts, then, and if the other work like the CS compliance, MCA compliance, company secretary compliance is done by some other company secretary, we must take assertion from there also. I mean, not on the same line like the secretarial report in the case of a listed company, but take some assertions from the company's secretary. If we are not aware of it, because, you know, after all, Companies Act is a very special act and a very detailed act. There are lots of compliances under the Companies Act. The commonly which know is AOC 4, MGT 7, DIR 3, and maybe MBP 1, and maybe ADT 1 and ADT 3 and all kind of thing. But there could be many other requirements. Like today only we were discussing while giving an opinion. And honestly, everyone was under the impression that when the companies, private companies, allowed to take deposit from the shareholders up to 100% of its share capital, paid up share capital, free reserves, and securities premium. Now there is a rule 10 of chapter 5. It says that this amount has to be certified. This amount has to be audited. Now the word uses this amount to be audited. So people were under the impression that the loan from directors or other things is only to be required to be audited by the DPT, but that's not the case, sir. And even in that case, the requirement of there's a requirement that the shareholders has given this loan to the company, deposit to the company from its own resources and not from any funds borrowed by them. Now this requirement is already there for the directors of the company, but the gentleman who came and was discussing, he said, sir, to the best of my knowledge, this kind of undertaking is not required for the loan from the shareholders, where the company is permitted to take up to 100% of its paid up share capital, free reserves, and the security premiums. But even that case, if when I look at the rule 10, it is required. So we answer the Companies Act has been changing so frequently that it is difficult for us to keep track on that, because we are not dealing day in and day out with this rules and regulations and all this. Sometimes they come out with this kind of funny requirement. So what we should do, we should take an assertion from the company secretary, and if we are doing this work ourselves, then we should ask our team that let us see what are the documents are required to be submitted to the company, to the ROC or to the MCE. Like MBP1, the director has to disclose his interest in statement MBP1 in the very first meeting, and the first meeting in every year. Even if he has done this disclosure, he has to repeat in every year. So if he is done disclose in the April 21, 20 to 21 April, May, if there is a first meeting, he has to do that. Now, other people think that section 73, बहुत सर सेक्शन 73 itself में जितना रिसर्च किया जाए इतना कम है सर, because it start with a sentence that a private limited company or a public limited company which has passed a resolution about acceptance of deposit can only take this deposit from the shareholders. So friends, certain things you should be very careful. Section 188 related party transaction, section 186 giving the permission of the prescribing the limits of the loans and investments by the private limited company, by the company, you have to make sure that ये चीजें पहले से ही करके रख देनी चाहिए. Certain things, certain resolution you must pass in advance, because these are common. Like for example, you know that company may accept deposit from the shareholder. Company ke paas fortunately, if there's a lot of huge paid up capital, free reserves and the share premium, security premium, and it may accept the loan from the loan of the from the or the deposit from the shareholders. Yes, provided the company has got this permission by way of the ordinary resolutions. So certain things we have to take the assertion from. So you take certain documents from the company secretary, and if your company you're doing it internally, then Sune pe suhaga, then you'll be doing that. So MPP1 statement is required for ascertaining the related party transactions. For the related party transaction of section 188 of the Companies Act, and even for the AS 18, you require this statement, and this will be your basis for this thing. So for that, I think you're all youngsters, Pramodji, you can give this mandate to one of your members or the team members now, or maybe पवन कुमार जी बोलेंगे सर कि चलो मैं रिसर्च करता हूं कि how many forms to be filled up with the register of companies which will be handy to the auditors for performing or discharging his functions. Because sir ये सही बात करो, हमारी क्षमता नहीं कि भाई हर चीज पे इतने इतने ध्यान रखें, unless we have a specific department devoted or earmarked to the Companies Act, because that's a specialized act.
करना है कि unmute करना है?
Okay, so again now we have to take this 164(2) declaration from the management. Now I was discussing with this party that the company which has not filed the annual return for any continuous period of 3 financial year. Now I was checking with our company secretary, in-house company secretary, that tell me if some directors have not filed, if some director, a gentleman is a director of your company, and he is director with some other companies. How am I to know that he is? Can I simply type the DIN number and he said no. Normally, if the company, the company in which he is a director, if that has defaulted and it has come to the knowledge of the MCA, then they'll issue the notice. Only then you come to know, not otherwise. So to be on safer side, what do you have to do? You have to take this undertaking. Sir, tell me one thing. I want to ask Pramod Kumarji and Ramavtaji, you ask all your participants, how many of you are taking this assertion from the directors of the company before you conclude the audit? Honest jawab dijiye, sir. Honest jawab dijiye, sir.
सब
केसेस में नहीं होता सर, सब केसेस में नहीं होता. Few cases we are taking where we know that directorship of our director may not take.
Sir, बराबर है, but only एक ही advice देता हूँ, golden advice. Sir, you don't know whether what the company, other company where he's a director has done or not, right? Correct? Are you privy to that? आपको ये पता है क्या सर? आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन देते हैं क्या? आपको कम्युनिकेट करते हैं क्या? जाने अनजाने कुछ भी जगह पे मिस्टेक हो. सर आधे लोगों को तो पता नहीं कि वो कौन सी कंपनी में डायरेक्टर है सर. वो तो डीन आने के बाद है तो सबके दिन बदल गए. इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग, बट अदरवाइज
सर ऐसा है ना कि हम लोग एज ए प्रैक्टिसिंग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, हम जो मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन लेते हैं उसके साथ में 3-4 पेजेस जो है ये बहुत क्लियर कट है. नंबर 1 जो आप ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के नीचे में जो 3 डिस्क्लोजर है उसका सर्टिफिकेट, मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन एंड 164(2) का, ये हर कंपनी के साथ में एक बना हुआ है पूरा का पूरा फॉर्मेट.
Yes.
और बैलेंस शीट साइन होने के पहले ये तीनों चीज सबसे पहले आनी जरूरी है.
If it is a part of your MR and you got it signed, separately from each director. मैं तो कहता हूँ कि वो
take it from each directors के separately लेते हैं सर. MR के साथ में director का separately भी लेते हैं.
Correct.
वो क्या प्रैक्टिस बनी हुई है कि ये स्टेटमेंट आएंगे तभी बैलेंस शीट साइन होगी.
बस बहुत अच्छी बात है, बहुत अच्छी बात है सर, बहुत अच्छी बात है. Good, good. Okay, then this is again there's one more disclosure about the internal financial control. But the best part is that if a company is a small company, now again for the small company there is one more clarification, sir. Small company till it was till the limits were relaxed in the Finance Bill 21, Finance Act 21 में जो relaxation आया था, उससे पहले the limit was paid up capital 50 lakhs rupees and the turnover 2 crore rupees, right, sir? This was the limit for the under subsection 85 section 2 of the Companies Act. So many people thought that this limit is for financial year 2021, but in fact it is for the financial year 21-22. And if I'm not mistaken, even that limit, the section is not yet notified as yet. To the best of my knowledge, it has not been notified, but they say as and when it is going to be notified, it will be for the effective for the financial year 21-22, because there are very relaxation. And now the paid up capital limit has been increased and relaxed to 2 crore rupees of the paid up capital, and as far as turnover is concerned, it is 20 crore rupees. 20 crore rupees has been increased a big. So internal finance control requirement is not there. And again, where the turnover is less than 50 crores or the borrowing is less than 25 crore rupees, even this is not the requirement for the internal control. Requirement of the internal finance control is not required. But they have added one more thing, sir. Our institute has come out with a statement, with a booklet in 2016, and it is this statement: implementation guide on audit of the internal financial control over the financial reporting, with specific reference to smaller less complex companies. Now, for the first time, we are using they use the word smaller companies, because mostly small companies are used in the Act, or even the small and medium enterprises in the accounting standard. But for the first time, the ICI has used this word, and this was issued by the Accounting and Assurance Standard Board back in 2016. So I was not too sure, sir, because there are so many things happening around us. So just to make sure that whether this edition or this publication has been revised or not, I checked up with the CA Gaurang Parik, who is the co-opted member of the AASB board, and again Secretary Meghna. She's been very helpful, and she has given us the feedback that this publication is yet to be revised. And then she gave me one more tip that for the illustration, one can refer to illustration number 4 in the revised SA 700. Revised SA 700, which was revised in 2017. So for the smaller companies, we don't need to delve too much into deep about the IFC, and we can simply resort to this statement that they are not applicable, and hence we are not dwell upon the complete report in Annex 2 of the Companies Act. So this is one more thing, sir, that this is the para 3, relevant para of the para, where the loans, investment, guarantees, where the provision 185, 186, sir. This section is very, very careful, and we have to read these sections very carefully. 185 prohibits the loans to the directors or the other related parties with the directors, and 186 talks about the limit up to which you can give the loan. Of course, it's not that beyond these limits you cannot give the loan at all. You can definitely give loans and advances beyond the limit, or make the investment beyond the limit prescribed in the section 186. But the only requirement is that you need to have the mandate from the company by way of a resolution. So let us see what 185, and this in Caro we have seen, sir, blindfoldedly. Of course, there's one more angle to it, and for a company which has the accumulated profit, the company which is a private limited company, a closely held public limited company which is an accumulated profit, in that case income tax 1 section, that is clause E of subsection 22 of section 2. So 2 into bracket 22 into bracket E is a very
अरे
different.
माँ तारा रामनगर कुत्ता है ना तो
Hello, hello, Sandeep bhai.
It's done, sir. I am now muting all. Please unmute yourself, sir. Yeah. Please unmute and continue, sir. You have to unmute, sir. Yeah.
I done it. Sandeep, I've done it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pawan Kumarji. You removed this background and now you're the original Pawan Kumarji. Okay, now I can realize. Okay, fine. So no company has directly, indirectly advanced any loan, including any loan represented by the book debts in any manner or any other person. So there's a huge list of the directors, the person in whom that other peoples are interested in. They are the relatives, partners of so many companies or the directors or the related parties. So this is one area. Just a minute, sir, please. This is one area where you have to be very careful. It says any firm in which any director is or his relative is a partner. So one has to be very careful about making this thing. And sir, only management's letters is not going to help you. Of course, it is helping you to some extent, but you will have to take trouble yourself and make sure. And as I told you, MBP1 form you refer, and that form will tell you which are the related parties and whether the company has given loan or not. Loan to yes, and this loans to the very important thing, sir. People say that in case of a private limited company, the contract with the managing director is not required. For the contract for the appointment of managing director and giving enlisting all the requirements is not compulsory required. Agreed. But if you make this contract, and there you mention that the MD or the managing director is entitled to certain loan up to certain limit, then this will help you and protect you that by any chance if you're given loan to the managing director or the whole-time director, then this will be covered, this will be secured and covered and not caught in the vagaries of section 185 of the Companies Act 2013, because and approved by a special resolution. So make sure that you have this kind of agreement here is approved by the special resolution, and not necessarily that this agreement has to be renewed at every year. If it is required to be renewed at every 5 years, make sure that on the 5th year you have a special resolution approving this contract, because in that case, loan given to MD or whole-time director is not caught in the vagaries of section 185. As I told you, certain areas are there where you have to make sure that you make sure that the mandate is given by the company by view of a resolution or maybe the special resolution. Okay. So, and the second one is that loan given in the ordinary course, that's fine, to the wholly owned subsidiary company. Here now the division 1, 2, and 3 of the Schedule 3 requires that when you give loan to the holding company is giving loan to the wholly owned subsidiary or the partly owned subsidiary, they have to also give the purpose for which they are seeking this loan. So make sure that you mention, because if the loan is given by the holding to the subsidiary for its own business, then it is not covered. It is not covered by the 185. Now this is very important. The section prohibits a company from making investment through more than 2 layers of investment company. More than 2 layers of trading companies other than investment companies permissible. So if you have a subsidiaries, maybe say 7 subsidiaries, and you give loan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 6, 7 subsidiaries, it is not an issue, provided they are not an investment company. Okay, so make sure that if there are investment companies, you cannot go beyond 2 subsidiaries. Now, this is 60% of the paid up capital, 3 items, free reserves, and the security premium. Okay, now here in this case, a special resolution permission is required. So I would advise, friends, that you seek this permission from the company in by way of the special resolution at the beginning of the year only, so that it protects your thing. Now, I wanted to tell you something that when from the perspective of the insolvency and bankruptcy code, of course, Section 186 permits the now one more limit is that it has to be interest bearing loan. The loan given by the company under the loan given by the company has to bear the interest, and that interest has to be, as per the government security clause. But by any chance, suppose leave aside this company, but suppose your client is a partnership firm, or a association of person, and it has given loan, interest free loan to a company, interest free loan to either a private limited company or the public limited company, then don't give interest free loan. Because from the perspective of the insolvency and bankruptcy code, a loan which does not carry any interest, a loan which does not carry any interest is not considered to be a financial debt. In that case, the person who has given the interest-free loan to the company is not considered as a financial creditor. And if he's not considered as a financial creditor, then naturally he will not be able to make any claim on the company, and he cannot make an application to the IBC. He cannot be a claimant as far as, or when the IBC has been the insolvency procedure or the CIRP, corporate insolvency resolution process, is started by someone else also, he will not be able to claim because it is not a financial debt. So just one piece of advice, friends, they don't give any interest-free loan to any private or public limited company. This, you never know that it can the other company can go for the liquidation, or maybe IBC will be dragged in the NCLT by anyone else. So again, MBP2, we have to, I think it should not be a very big deal, but there are many registers to be maintained under the Companies Act. Like even the deposits, the deposits register has to be maintained. So when we say that, when we comment in the CARO about Section 73 and all this, you make sure from the company secretary that they have maintained the register of the depositors. And like this, there are company has to make a register in MBP form for advances. Very important, draw attention to 186 for disclosure full particulars and the purpose for which the loan guarantee is proposed to be utilized by the recipient of the loan and the guarantee. So this is very important, sir. But now in Division 3, Schedule 3, Division 1, 2, and 3, these are embedding as a way of the by way of the notes, which is mandatorily to be complied with, sir. And sir, this is one section I always say that बहुत ही draconian section है, because the penalties are huge. Penalties are huge, sir. Now I discussed one thing which has happened in this financial year, and it was very difficult. Fortunately, that client is such an organized client that he always insists, despite being a private limited company, though the turnover is 1,000 crore rupees, and hence they are more organized and more concerned about the advance tax payments and liabilities and all kind of thing. So friends, this has come to a notice that in March 20, their customer had given an advance. In March 20, the customer has given an advance, and it is a heavy duty machinery manufacturing company. They make huge capital goods equipment, not into the retail small thing, chiller thing, chote chitni banate, big one. So the amount is also huge. They make the construction equipment. Now, in March 20, that buyer of the company, the customer of the company, has given an advance of about 5.52 rupees. 5.52 rupees was advance given in March. And till December 20, when we sat down for the pre-closure scrutiny of the accounts, we realized that the money, our client has not supplied goods to them. And now the Chapter 5 Rule to see, one of the conditions is that if the advance has been received on account of from the customers, and the company has failed to deliver the goods within 1 year, within 365 days, the exact word I remember is 365 days, then it will be construed as a deposit. And this may go beyond the knowledge of these so many people. So friends, we are not sitting with the client day in, day out. We are called many of the clients, we are called by many of the clients at the end, by 31st March, after 1 month, 2 months, and now they say, sir, it's COVID, come in month of July, come in month of August. But by then, this thing must have gone beyond their control. So this is one area, and especially for this financial year, dear friends, be careful. So what people do, sir? What do? If there's a list of sundry creditors, which is all having the credit balance quite rightly so, they will add one item, advance received from XYZ, which has a plus oblique the debit balance, and then shove it off and give in the one particular figure. So naturally, ROC is not going to come to know about it. But sir, by any chance, if something goes wrong, and if the case is taken for scrutiny or some kind of an investigation by the ROC or the MCA member, then your client could be in trouble. But please advise your client that, of course, then we ask the client, I said, why haven't you supplied? They say, Mr. Desai, the money which was received was 5.52 rupees, and actually this equipment was costing about 28 or 29 lakhs rupees or something, or maybe 30 lakhs rupees. So on an average, they had given 20% or kind of this towards the cost of equipment. But later on, bank did not sanction their loan, and as a result of which we are stuck. I said, why can't you return this money? He said, we can't return this money because we already started the process of doing the thing. But then the point is that this was conveyed to the client, to the customer. And customer being a sensible, again, one of the listed companies, he said, don't worry. You give this money for just 1 day and we'll return. One day, you give this money in the morning, and in the evening, we'll return this money to you. And before that, they had done some ICD through some other company. They had arranged some ICD from other companies so that for this private limited company, it is not construed as a deposit. So some third party company, private limited listed company or private limited company has given loan of 5.5 crore. This money was given immediately back to the customer, and then customer has again placed a fresh order in month of February 21, as a result of which this could be sued. Now this has happened because the client normally is in habit of discussing with us the pre-closure meeting as a ritualistic meeting somewhere in December of every year. And that's why we could come to know about it. Imagine the plight of a company to a small company which is not done. So this is one area where, of course, the MC has given relaxation in many areas, in many cases, but not in such. But of course, on a practical ground, this can very well be fought out and can be said that yes, this was not intended by the party or by the company. So the point is that some areas we tend to forget. Okay, borrowing from the director should not be from that borrowed funds. Again, at chapter 5, rule 2C8, make sure that you get this letter, but just not say, but just inform them that you have to take this precaution and make sure that you're not paying out of your borrowing funds. Okay. About the private limited company, they say that up to 100% they can borrow the funds to the shareholders and all this, but there is a very small relaxation, if I'm not mistaken, 73.282G, like giving the circular and all this, they have to, they are exempted from certain compliances. Again, very important thing, a private limited company can take without limit any borrowings from the shareholders, from its members, without any restrictions, provided it is not an associate or a subsidiary of any other company, and the borrowings from the banks is about 50 crore rupees, or if the 50 crore rupees or the twice the paid up capital, whichever is less, and it is not defaulted. So um, uh, don't try to make the private limited company unduly, unnecessarily a subsidiary or an associate of a holding company of a particular company, unless it is required. Do that, not otherwise. For startup companies, I think the limit has been increased in September 20 from 5 crores to from 5 years to 10 years, and DPT3, I think the last date is 30th June. So make sure that you comply with this thing. Friends, at least we are doing the secretarial work of the companies, but then we have two full-time company secretary working with us and working in our organization. Okay, so they are helping us. But otherwise, sir, I realize it's a highly specialized and intricate job. Then when it comes to the conversion of loans into the shares, when it comes to the conversion of loan into the share, this is a very good case study. A private limited company has taken a loan of 5 lakhs rupees from Mr. XYZ, who is a non-related party. It is within the limits specified under Section 73 of the Companies Act. Now it wants to convert the loan into the share at the fair value as determined by the RBO. Fine. So they are not adopting Section 56 to 10 by virtue of a premium, and they are taking all precaution as regard the valuation or the market price or the fair price or the consideration of the share. Now, can company do so? The loan has already been taken, and now they want to convert into the equity share. See, answer is yes, it is possible, no denying. But what precaution we should take, provided that the terms of issue of such debentures or loan outstanding, loan containing such an option have been approved before the issue of such debentures or the loan by a special resolution passed by the company at a general meeting. So, sir, as a matter of precaution, what we should do that before you take a loan, and even if there's no intention for you to pay this loan, and even if to convert this loan into the shares and securities, I would advise that you please, as a matter of abundant precaution, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं इख्तियार के रूप पे इसे एक special resolution pass करके कर दीजिए, and write that it will be decided, the conversion ratio will be decided at the time of conversion or option exercised by the holder at the fair market value, because not anything and everything, any loan are being converted immediately. Now a private limited company wants to raise, सब बहुत बड़ी समस्या है कि private limited company shares funds कैसे issue करे, right, raise करे. What are the ways of raising fund? First is the right issue, very simple, Section 64, then the preferential issue, and last is the private placement. Now, in this case, I made this one summary. Under Caro, this is covered by, as far as 2016 is concerned, clause 3 by 14, clause 14, chapter, clause 3, clause 14. And then as far as 20 is concerned, it is 10b. It is more or less the same thing, but they've given that. Now we'll just give the brief summary of all this. I'm not going to go in great detail. It is just for you. I'm sure you must be aware of it, but फिर भी दिल है कि मानता नहीं. So if you want to give to outsiders, then the private placement is something which is very important and which is very easy you can take. Otherwise, rights can be given to only to the existing. Preferential is both to existing and the outsiders, and private placement is every. But here, prior special resolution is required in case number 2, in case number 3, minimum days maximum for the offer period, that's fine. Then you do file the pass 3 within 30 days, within 15 days, within 50 days, that's fine. Now valuation, yes, valuation is mandatory in both the case, and I would suggest you should obtain the valuation from the merchant banker, merchant banker, because earlier there were, I believe, category 1, 2, 3, but there are no categories. But from the merchant bankers, you seek the valuation. This will protect you from the vagaries of the income tax section 56(2)(10), other income from other sources, because the premium has to be justified in this case. Very important thing is there about the bank account. About the bank account, I think it is there. You have to have a specific bank account for that. Okay. Yes, utilization can be utilized only after filing of the PAS 3 in case of the preferential allotment and private allotment. Now, in this case, sir, preferential and private, you have to have a separate bank account. You should earmark for that. Many companies are making this mistake, but I think this is just giving the complete detailed procedures, and that's why I have used the word in the title of this as an auxiliary. Auxiliary means I'm given as a piece of information. I'll not speak on this right now, but these are giving the various ways, means of this thing. So when the company has made an issue, you have to make a declaration in the CARO as well. So don't forget to make that. And sir, one more thing, sir. The act and the compliances are so inextricably connected that one gives rise to another. One event triggers the requirement of the other standards, or the other requirement of the either standard or the Companies Act or the Income Tax Act. Now, this I have observed in many companies that they have issued shares during the year. We have seen the PAS 3 also, we have seen the allotment, all say SH4, everything we have seen. But when we saw the EPS, at that point of time, the weightage average was not being used. Simply suppose the beginning of the year, it was say 10 lakhs number of shares. During the year, they had issued about say 5 lakh shares. So they simply added 10 and 5 and 15. Actually, if the shares were not issued on the very first day of the financial year, then there is called weighted average number of shares has to be taken into account. In 3 or 4 companies, when took up the case for the research, we found that they have not calculated, they have defaulted in calculation of the earning per share when the right issues were made by the company. Okay. These are again points given by company secretary. Sir, these limits are very, very demanding. The reason being, and this has happened, sir, in some cases, mostly in cases where the turnover is concerned, it's always the preceding year, fine. And the other limits are concerned, that is, these are during the financial year. Now, this has happened with few CAs, with few companies and this can happen with many other companies and CAs and the firms, that last year the cash flow statement was not required. Last year CARO was not required. But this time there's an increase in the threshold limits of the definition of the small company has been crossed, or maybe certain parameters of the borrowings or the turnover has crossed, and as a result of which this requirement is now applicable, which was not there earlier. That means you have to prepare the cash flow statement, which the small company is exempt. Then maybe you have to prepare the CARO report and also. So dear friends, this remembering the limits day in day is not a day in and day out work. As day in and day out, we remember the depreciation rates, TDS rates, and certain basic limits. But this kind of thing, जैसे हमारे पवन कुमार जी सब TDS की लिमिट याद रखते हैं, 206 देखते हैं, H देखते हैं, GS देखते हैं, ये वो. बट ये सब ये सब लिमिट ध्यान रखना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So ideally, one should prepare a decision table, and try and see that embed all these things, and see that those limits are complied with. If I'm not mistaken, WIRC has come out with a decision tool or a table. Let me check up with my son Anand. Just allow me a minute, Anand. I just want to know that whether have you come across any table or tool in WRC site website which gives certain limits and the decision table? Yes, check and revert to me in next 10 to 15 minutes time. Okay. Sir, if I'm not mistaken, WRC has this kind of a tool. If not, a smart person in your group like Pawan Kumar and many others. Pawan Kumar तो एक छवि है, एक iconic personality है. I'm sure there are many others. And if I'm not mistaken, Sanjeet, I think your EIRC EIRC Regional Council member, Sanjeet was there, and I remember he's very good at Excel and all this, and he may come out with so many other things. Sanjeet is the one thing whom I know. That's why I can give him his name, but I'm sure there may be many smart people in EIRC who can come out with the some kind of a decision table. I have come across one, but that was developed by a chartered accountant from Vadodara, and it is an excellent model. It is an excellent model. If they permit, Pawanji, I'll share with you, Pramod Kumarji, I'll share with you, and then you can share with your members. Okay, Ram Avtarji?
Okay, sir, we will share with our members.
नहीं, but let me उनसे पहले उनकी
You
इजाजत
have
ले
to take
लेता
the
हूँ.
permission. You have to take the
I'll
consent
take
from
the
them.
permission, and अगर है तो मैं उसका कुछ जलवा दिखाऊंगा आपको कि how it works, because then you have to put certain data only. कि भाई
Yeah.
last year turnover was how much, paid up capital during the preceding year is how much, paid up capital during the financial year how much, outstanding deposit is how much, borrowings is how much, because borrowings and turnover say related, there are many requirements or compliances. So this is one area where one has to do this exercise afresh every year, because it's very likely that you may forget to comply with something. So this has happened very seriously in 4 to 5 cases where the rotation of auditors is concerned. Sir, आमतौर में it may be a wrong impression, and I don't say that I'm not being sarcastic. मैं किसी का कसूर नहीं निकालता हूँ. हो सकता है कि भाई गलती से mistake हो गई, and the mistake is that the rotation of auditor report is applied only to the listed companies. ऐसा क्या हो सकता है सर? हो सकता है क्योंकि there the real rotation and everything is required. छोटी और मछली कंपनी में क्या सर, वो तो घर की बात है, ऐसे कहते हैं ना, ऐसा है. And people may not be affected so much about it. So many people are under the impression that rotation of auditor is applied only to listed companies, only to the public companies, but that's not the case. So to the public company, it is always applied whether listed or not. And when the public company is concerned, and okay, then the paid up private limited company is concerned, it is applicable where the turnover paid up capital is more than 50 crore rupees, and also the loans from the public financial institution bank outstanding public deposit is costing 50 crore rupees. And for a public company which is not a listed company, that means unlisted public company, if the paid up capital is more than 10 crores and the loans again is more than 50 crores, now this includes your working capital also. Now this I need to see maybe at any point of time during the year. Let me see whether it's a call from my son. अगर है तो मैं आपसे अभी share करूँगा.
It is mentioned in chat box. It is mentioned in chat box.
Which? That WRC?
Yeah.
There's a two. हाँ बेटा, हाँ.
NSC chat में हमारे
WRC website available is by Vishal Doshi. Yes. Vishal Doshi. Yes. Again from Vadodara. Anand, you were saying something? But is there in WRC a tool, this kind of tool which helps you determine, right? Okay. Compliance of it. Okay. Thanks, beta. Thanks. Sir, so it is there on the WRC, and Vishal Doshi Saab is a regional council member. And I didn't want to give his name and all this, but since you already found out, it is there. So please make the use of this tool. And my son was just now mentioning that it's a GST compliance and many tools are there. So please do this, sir. And about the rotation of the private limited company, rotation of the auditor in the private limited company, sir, please make sure, sir, 50 crore तो आज मामूली रकम हो जाती है, sir, including the loans from the public financial institutions, banks, outstanding public deposit and all this. So be careful. Ab problem kya tha? This case came up for the for some kind of advice. बोला यज्ञेश भाई हम इधर फंस गया भी। ये लिमिट क्रॉस हो गई थी 2019 में, and they came in the first month of January 21. But sir, एक हमें एक बताइए कि when this Act 2013 was introduced, at that point of time they have given the relaxation for 3 years time, a 3 years window, correct sir? In the first place, it was applicable from 1st April 2015 and not 1st April 2014. That's the first relaxation. And second, if I'm not mistaken, Ramota ji, am I right, sir? 3 साल का वो grace period दिया गया था. So they were in the impression that this grace period is there applicable at every stage, whether the Companies Act 2013 was introduced then or later on, means जब भी ये सीमा तय होती है, whenever the threshold limit of 50 crore rupees borrowings by the private limited company, or the word is or, the paid up capital in excess of 50 crore rupees, तो उसके बाद 3 साल की अवधि दी जाती है. But that was only for the first year. That was the transitional provision, and it was not built. Then that gentleman also got me an article by from in the text group. And so much so that I contacted that person, the company secretary and a chartered accountant, and he said, sir, this is possible. But then ultimately when we read the act threadbare, sir, it was not possible. It was not possible. The point is that कि ऐसी छोटी-छोटी गलतियां जो होती है can be very devastating for all of us, sir. So ध्यान रहे कि we meet with these compliances. I tell you, there are two more chartered accountants from Vadodara beside the Vishal Joshi ji. One is Mr. Manoj Shahu, and second is I forgot his name, but these two gentlemen had helped a lot. So friends, make most of this tool. But I must say something. मेरे मित्र हरिराम जी तो है नहीं, जिन्होंने बुलावा दिया वो तो नहीं है, बट मैंने हमारे जो पुराने दोस्त से पवन कुमार जी, प्रमोद जी एंड राम अवतार जी, मैं सैल्यूट कर रहा हूँ आपके कैलकाटा के मेंबर्स को, हमारे जो श्रोतागण हैं इनको मैं बधाई देता हूँ, एंड आई एम रियली इम्प्रेस्ड बाय देम, एंड मैं नमन करता हूँ उनको कि फटाफट, जबकि हमारा लाइव चल रहा है, तुरंत आपने मुझे दिया. बम्बई में रहता है, उनको मेरे बेटे को पूछना पड़ता है, और आप हैं जो मुझे तुरंत बता दिए कि सर आंख नजदीक का कान नहीं देखती है ना सर. वेरी गुड. सो आई रियली, सो दिस इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ द यंगस्टर्स. And I tell you, sir, these youngsters can go to any extent. उनमें इतनी क्षमता है कि I've seen some people using the macros. I have seen some people using the VBA, sir. Am I right, sir? VBA भी एक language है ना, वो Excel की, sir. Fantastic काम करते हैं, sir. बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं. प्रतीक जी, आपने कुछ संशोधन किया है क्या? आप बार-बार यहाँ पे अपीयर हो रहे हैं, तो लगता है कि कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, तो बोलिए सर. प्रजीत जी, प्रतीक भाई, बोलिए.
हमारे डेप्यूटी कन्वीनर है प्रतीक भाई.
अच्छा, डेप्यूटी कन्वीनर, इसीलिए वो दृष्टिमान हो रहे हैं. अच्छा
कि वो संदीप जी का कॉल आ गया था, इसीलिए बीच में एक बार बंद किया. वो लीव किए हैं तो बता रहे थे. सर सॉरी आपको डिस्टर्ब हुआ बीच में.
ना डिस्टर्ब नहीं, हमको तो एक चेहरा और देखने मिला है ना सर. नहीं तो सर ये अब तो ये वेबिनार में एक ही बात है सर कि हम जब देखते रहते हैं तो लगता है कि हम एक फैकल्टी नहीं मगर एक बतौर न्यूज रीडर हम बात कर रहे हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है हमें सर.
फेसलेस
है ना सर. तो जब आपके जैसे सुहाने हंसमुख के हाथ से फुट चल रहे चीयरफुल फेसेस दिखते हैं तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है सर. है ना, लगता है कि हम कुछ जीवित व्यक्तियों के सामने बोल रहे हैं, है ना. ठीक है, ओके सर. सो व्हेन कॉस्ट ऑडिट ऑफ कोर्स अपना सब्जेक्ट नहीं है, बट वी सर ये लिमिट्स जो है ना सर, जब मैं आईबीसी के एग्जाम दिया था, ऑफ कोर्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई फेल जस्ट बाय 1.5 मार्क्स. अब दूसरी एग्जाम देना है मुझे. In my second attempt, I failed. First attempt में 53 marks आए, second attempt में 58.5. तो अभी going by that trend लगता है कि अब शायद पास हो जाऊंगा, but उसकी गारंटी नहीं है कि 58 से वो 50 भी हो जाए सर. So वहाँ पे भी सब लिमिट्स बहुत तंग करती है हमें. In how many days the RP has to give these, IRP has to give these, and how many days the adjudicating authority have to give. So ये लिमिट सर हमें जो सीमा है, रेखा है, हमें बहुत तंग करती है सर. So we have to be very careful about these limits and all this. Debasis जी का एक व्याख्यान चल रहा था, and it was for the EIRC, and I was a speaker thereafter. तो उन्होंने तो बहुत, वो तो मालूम है ना आप कैसे बिंदास बोलते हैं, फटाफट, है ना, अरे क्या बात करें आपको, एक सीआई मुझसे पूछने लगा सर ये प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी उसको कैश फ्लो नहीं लगता, अरे भाई मैंने कहा देख तू, यू नो, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो ऐसे कैसे भी मिथ्स रह जाते हैं ऐसा. तो आई थिंक इट इज बेटर दैट यू शुड डू दैट. एंड नाउ द सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज दैट व्हेन यू टेक अ लोन फ्रॉम द नॉन रेजिडेंट पर्सन, अब ये एक सब बड़ी बात है कि सिंस हमारी टीम में एक हमारे सज्जन जो है वो डील करते हैं फेमा से भी, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि इफ यू देयर आर 3 ऑप्शंस फ्रॉम गेटिंग द फंड्स फ्रॉम द नॉन रेजिडेंट इंडियन, A from his NRE account, B from his NRO account in India, and C his overseas account abroad. So in case of A and C, FCGPR form is to be filed within maybe 60 days of the allotment. Couple of years back, there were 2 forms to be filed, once when you receive the money and second when you allot, but now it is only the time of allotment. And at that point of time, you need to have the valuation of the shares done using the DCF model and get it from the category, merchant banker. Because once you take it from the merchant banker, the valuation report, there's no question of treating the share premium as the income from other sources. Very important. But when you take it from the NRO, this money is not to be repatriated. When the funds are taken from the NRO account, no valuation is reported. But sir, I suggest take the valuation report. Otherwise, 56,210 will be killing. But one thing you must make sure. And for that, you have to be very clear in preparing your memoranda information. Now, memoranda information is something which is beyond these certain things, but you have to keep in mind, for example, I'm taking a totally digressing totally, that आपके client ने capital gain account scheme में पैसे डाले, right, sir? And that money is to be used within certain time limits, within 3 years from the date of sale and not from the date of deposit. So then what do you do, sir? So there we call it memoranda data, and we created for every client memoranda or important alerts. So where therein we put in this, that this client is a capital gain account scheme is going to expire in so and so day. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months before that, we keep on triggering. But now, of course, the CRP, there are many CRP models available, you know, and kuch to institute bhi help kariye ke bina any charges or maybe at a very abysmally low price, they are going to sell some CRP, which I think everyone make use of it. So here we be careful that when an NRO person has given the invested from the NRO account, it is not repatriable even within the limit of 1 million USD per annum. Up to 1 million USD, and NRO to overseas account or NRA account is permissible, but not this. Yes, by a merchant banker as per the DCF method. This is again given there within 30 days of the allotment. Sorry, it is within 30 days of the allotment. Mostly these are in the automatic non-approval group. Now this is about the case where which has come for our friendly consultation by my friend chartered accountant, incorporated on 5/1/20. The first step, so that is about the appointment of the auditor, which within 15 days. Otherwise, sir, ये सब चीजें भूल जाते, but करा दीजिएगा. First, you must take it within. If the board fails to appoint in the general meeting, then within 90 days. Then again by the AG. This again ADT 1 and then the ADT 3. This is what I have repeated earlier. Or unlisted company having the paid up share capital of rupees 10 crores more. This is about the rotation of the auditor. Now here, तो ये मैंने मिस क्लियर कर दिया. मिस मैं कोई बड़ी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ सर, बट आम रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में सर इतने कंप्लायंसेस आते हैं सर, इतने कंप्लायंसेस आते हैं कि हम थक जाते हैं सर. एंड वर्क फ्रॉम होम होता है अच्छा काम, बट सर ऑफिस में क्या था कि चलो भाई ये पीपीटी का ये विंडो ड्रेसिंग कर दो, इसका वो कर दो, अच्छा ये जो है उससे कॉपी मार, उससे कॉपी मार. हम बोल सकते हैं सर कॉपी मारते हैं हम, और क्या करते हैं सर. रिसर्च इज नथिंग बट कॉपिंग फ्रॉम मोर देन वन रिसोर्सेज. एम आई राइट सर? ये नया नॉलेज तो है नहीं, मेरा क्रिएटिव कॉलेज तो है नहीं, ये वो मिस्टर कपूर के जैसे नई खाने की डिश तो है नहीं सर। इट इज अ नॉलेज इज समथिंग टोटली न्यू। ये तो मैं है उसको आपको आई एम कलेक्टिंग एंड एक सूत्रधार की भांति आपको दे रहा हूँ, और क्या कर रहा हूँ सर, कुछ नहीं। सो घर बैठे सर ये सब आधी चीजें अपने को करने पड़ती है, तो इस चीजों में बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है। सो कीप ऑन डिस्कसिंग, कीप ऑन चेकिंग दिस लिमिट्स टाइम एंड अगेन, उसका भी। एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक रिफ्रेशर कोर्सेज आर वेरी, दिस इज द केस व्हिच आई हैव नरेटेड। Mr. A is an auditor for ABC Private Limited since past 10 years. Now it is not a partnership firm, but a proprietary firm, which is a auditor of ABC Private Limited. Its paid up capital is 20 crore rupees. During the financial year 2021, is borrowing from the financial institutions exceeded 50 crore rupees. Which of the option is correct? He can continue as an auditor till financial year 2023, means 3 years more. 3 years period is allowed time at the time of first time application of the CA 2013. Or he cannot continue as auditor on and from the financial year 21-22. 2021 तक तो सीमित रख सकते हैं, बट उसके बाद के ईयर में वो नहीं कर सकते. The second option is the correct, the first is not correct, because the 3-year window grace period was only for the transition period at the time of introducing the CA 2013. Correct sir? Then कारों में सर देखिए कोई कहता है कि भाई all conditions. Now sometime you could be under impression wrongly or rightly that कोई भी एक हो गई completion condition, तो then your exam is not there. All 3 conditions will apply you to सर आप बोलेंगे सर भाई आप क्यों इतनी बुनियादी इतनी बेसिक बातें क्यों करें, क्या हम हमारे कलकत्ता के सीए को इतने वो समझते कि नहीं? ऐसी बात नहीं है सर, कतई ऐसी बात नहीं, बट सम थिंग्स आर रिक्वायर्ड टू बी रिपीटेड।
बेसिक चीज में ज्यादा गलती हो जाती है।
सर एक बात बताऊं, आज ही ऐसे बात हो रही थी, एक कुछ इनविटेशन आया शादी का, जिसमें मैं देखा कि दी लास्ट डे ऑफ फंक्शन इज एट ताजमहल ऑन 7th of July. तो my son was sitting beside me. He said, "Dad, very exciting." I said, "Now I'll tell you very exciting thing about Taj Mahal Bombay Hotel." And वो होटल में बोला ना बेसिक गलती हो जाती है. You know the entrance of that hotel, Taj Mahal Colaba, was supposed to be facing the seashore. But by mistake, it was inside. It is inside. It is facing inside, not the seashore. My son बोला सर तभी व्हाट्सएप वगैरह नहीं था, नहीं तो तुरंत बोल देते कि देखो ये व्हाट्सएप पिक्चर दे रहा हूँ गलती हो गई. So imagine कहाँ तक ये मिस्टेक चली थी. And there are, I mean, वो गलती से ही मिस्टेक हो जाती है सर, है ना? जानबूझ के तो कोई करता नहीं सर, किसको कंप्लायंस नहीं करना है ना.
सर मैं एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ करना चाह रहा हूँ. मैं बहुत सी बैलेंस शीट्स हमने देखी जहाँ पर कारों की एप्लीकेबिलिटी नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी कारों के लोग रिपोर्ट लगा देते हैं.
देखिए आप बैल मुझे मार, उस कारों में सर मैं एक बार बोलूं सर, कारों की रिपोर्टिंग में कॉपी पेस्ट बहुत आमतौर पे ज्यादा होता है सर. करेक्ट सर. 185 186 कोई नहीं देखता सर. देखते हैं तो आई रियली अप्रिशिएट एंड आई सैल्यूट द प्रोफेशनलिज्म, बट मोस्टली पीपल डोंट लुक एट इट. अगर एप्लीकेबल नहीं है तो सर मत कीजिए, कोई चांद नहीं देने वाला है ना, तो आरओसी आपको पुरस्कार देंगे गोल्डन दिया.
लेकिन सर इसमें क्या आरओसी चार्ज नहीं कर सकता विद ऑडिटर कि आपने गलत रिपोर्ट दी है?
नहीं सर एक बात है, आपने आई वुड से अब तक ऐसा केस तो आया नहीं कोई, और ना तो कोई डीसी में भी आया, बिकॉज मेनी केसेस आई एम रिप्रेजेंटिंग द डीसी मैटर आल्सो. सो ऐसा तो नहीं आया कि सर रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है ना दी आपको, एंड देन यू आर पनिशिंग यू बिकॉज यू आर गिविंग मोर डिस्क्लोजर. But when it is required to be disclosed, something is required to be disclosed and you're not disclosed or complied with, then there will be a fit case for the some kind of an action. इंशाल्लाह मैं नहीं चाहता हूँ कि कोई भी एक्शन ऐसी ली जाए कोई भी मेंबर के लिए सर, कोई भी प्रोफेशनल ब्रदर के लिए सर, बिकॉज बहुत प्रेशर में काम करते सर. We are working under the tremendous pressure sir. बाकी सब प्रेशर भूल जाओ, वर्क प्रेशर, ट्रेन एम्प्लॉइज सीख के उड़ जाते हैं. पत्नी से भी ज्यादा उनको मस्का मारना पड़ता है सर. ऐसा है. सो वो गलत बात तो है, बट इतनी गलत नहीं कि जिसमें यू विल बी होता है. अब सब ये इंटरनल ऑडिट की बात आती है तो यस, कैन द इंटरनल ऑडिटर Can the employee of the company be internal auditor? Answer is yes. And this is given extract from the Companies Act. For the purpose of this rule, the internal auditor may or may not be an employee of the company. तो ध्यान रहे कि at least you tell company कि अगर officially बाहर से ले आए तो अंदर में कोई करा के दीजिए, and if it is a naturally private limited company, make sure that resolution pass किए, and certain things resolution में embed कर दिए. जैसे हमारे प्रमोद कुमार जी ने कहा कि उनके पास बहुत ही बेहतरीन MR है, मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन लेटर, जिनमें उन्होंने काफी बहुत चीजों का जिक्र किया है. तो उसमें मैं एक प्रमोद जी को भी बोलूंगा और आपसे भी कहूंगा, एक बोर्ड रिजोल्यूशन में एक चीज जरूर करवा दीजिए कि द बोर्ड हैज डेलीगेटेड द पावर्स ऑफ फॉलोइंग्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर टेक्निकल पर्सनल. मैं बात करता हूँ बड़ी फैक्ट्री जहां पे ज्यादा फिक्स प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट इक्विपमेंट बड़ी मात्रा में है, वो एक कंप्यूटर, एक बिल्डिंग और फर्नीचर, उसकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ सर. अ ह्यूज सेटअप ऑफ अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट इक्विपमेंट, that he should review following three things at the balance sheet at the year end date. A, useful life. B, residual value. And C, method of depreciation. Because this is a must pursuant to paragraph 61 of the AS10 property plan equipment revised in 2016. ये दायित्व कंपनी मैनेजमेंट में डाला है स्टैंडर्ड ने, that the management shall review at year end these three things. And as an auditor, we have to make sure that we make this sentence as under: the company has reviewed at the year end following three things, and the changes therein are considered as a change in an estimate and accounted for accordingly. That means they are accounted for prospectively. शायद कोई सेशन में, कैलकाटा का ही सेशन में मैंने कहा होगा, बट मुझे दोहराने में कोई हर्ज नहीं, that now after the AS10 revised property plan equipment, and of course as per the Ind AS 16 property plan equipment, method of depreciation is not considered as an accounting policy. The method of depreciation is not considered as an accounting policy, rather it is an estimate. And being an estimate, change in the method of depreciation from WDV to SLM or vice versa will now be accounted for prospectively and not retrospectively. A very big paradigm change brought in by AS10 since 2016 April. But sir, जब तक हम स्टैंडर्ड गहराई से नहीं पढ़ते, दिल से नहीं पढ़ते, we may miss out certain things like this, and this is one of the things. Again, a big important thing, that livestock animals will be covered by AS10 till such time a standard on agriculture is brought in. Calcutta के बात करें तो tea bushes are considered to be a bearer plant as far as AS10 and Ind AS 16 is concerned. Correct, sir? So ये सब बहुत सी छोटी-मोटी चीजें हैं, sir. The only thing is that one need to keep yourself abreast of the latest development. एक और भी पहलू है, sir, method of depreciation के बारे में. Since the method of depreciation is now not considered as an accounting policy, but an estimate, parent and subsidiary can have different method of depreciation in their separate financial statement. वो तो था, पहले से भी था, वो no big deal. But while consolidating the accounts of the group, the parent need not make any alignment or changes on account of different method of depreciation followed by group companies. Agar parent is following the WDV and the subsidiary is following the SLM, no adjustment is required for making while preparing the consolidated financial statements on account of method of depreciation. If I'm not mistaken, the issue number 75 in the compilation of some material of the ICA, it is there, or maybe in the ITFG bulletins. So this is there in this. The point is that, sir, there are so many things which is the, just a minute, sir. Yes, sir. फोन का मैं इसी तरह से इस्तेमाल करता हूँ कि notes जो है ना, I am using certain things. Issue number 75 of Compendium of Indies. Compendium of Indies का एक publication है, issue number 75, and ITFG Bulletin 11. ITFG Bulletin 11, issue number 6. Issue number 6 has given this, has addressed this query, that different method can be followed by parents and subsidiary, and still parent does not need to make any adjustment on account of different methods pursuant to Ind AS 16 paragraph 61, and as far as AS10 is concerned, it is paragraph 63. Issue number 75 of Compendium of Ind AS, ITFG Bulletin 11, issue number 6. Oh, last is a very important slide, and that is, thank you so much, and I am willing to take the questions now, sir.
Thank you, Yagnesh ji. Our committee member Rashmi ji will take the questions to you from the chat box and from the members. Rashmi ji, okay.
नमस्कार रश्मि जी, हॉट सीट पे आपका स्वागत है.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for such a lovely welcome. How are you, Yagnesh ji?
I am doing fine. How are you? मेरे ख्याल से आप WhatsApp के माध्यम से कभी संपर्क में ऐसे मैंने सुना है. I think आपका नाम, maybe your number is there. I am not sure. But,
maybe. I mean, this is a beauty of CA fraternity, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. So going back to the questions which I have received on the chat box, let me just go through the questions, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, we have one question from Pawan ji only.
पवन जी, नमस्कार पवन जी, आप दृश्यमान होइए सर, प्लीज.
Sir, the question is कि during the financial year 2011-12, the company had raised a share capital of 5 crore from 4 shareholders, oblique a shell company. Income Tax Department add back share capital under Section 68 of the Income Tax Act. During March 2021, company applied for Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, and the same is accepted by the Income Tax Department. Now, as an auditor, how should we respond to the same in our audit report? First, do company require to report the same in director's report? Second, how to correct false shareholder list in the annual return of the company?
Pawan ji, please, Pawan ji, kindly unmute yourself and please, because I want to be a rhetoric. Rhetoric का मतलब प्रश्न का जवाब प्रश्न से. Pawan ji, please, can you please, you say that assessment at 11-12, 5 crore rupees and edited, and you say assessment at 2021, you fall Vivad Se, and it has been accepted by the under this scheme. What do you mean by accepted by that? That means they have deleted the addition, or they have accepted and make you to pay only the taxes and giving the relief from the interest and penalties. So what do you mean by accepted by the department? Uska मैं क्या मर्म समझूं? कि you won the matter, or you didn't won the matter, or you surrendered the matter, and that means you have you just pay the taxes thereon. So Pramod ji, Pawan ji, can you please give me more information about this?
That I think Junior Pawan Agrawal, he has raised this issue.
Achha, Junior Pawan Agrawal.
Yes.
So Junior
Pawan ji, unmute yourself.
मैंने issues नहीं किया.
So we have a third Pawan ji today. So Pawan Agrawal.
जैसे
same issue मेरा है, अगर if you allow me to speak, same issue मेरा है.
हाँ जी बोलिए.
ये इंटरेस्ट पेनल्टी वेव कर दिया है डिपार्टमेंट ने, और डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से जो डिमांड आनी है, नोटिस वो भी आ चुका है कि भाई यू हैव टू पे दिस मच अमाउंट।
करेक्ट। और आपने जाहिर सी बात है अपील फाइल होगी, करेक्ट, तो सीआईटी अपील ने भी अपील डिसमिस कर दी होगी।
यस,
या all right, so my point is that till now what were you disclosing? I mean that for that matter the public limited company or the private limited company, what they were disclosing?
sir, we were disclosing that this much amount is being pending with the income tax department since demand has been raised, and CIT appeal, we have already filed the appeal with the CIT appeal, and now we have moved to this विवाद से विवाद scheme.
विवाद से विवाद तो 20-21 में आए ना, तो 10 साल आपने कंटिंजेंट लायबिलिटी में की थी या प्रोविजन की थी इसको?
अच्छा, कंटिंजेंट लायबिलिटी में, और जितना जितना हमने ऑन अकाउंट पेमेंट किया था उसको हमने,
वो कहते हैं अमाउंट अंडर प्रोटेस्ट, राइट? ठीक है,
यस,
वो अपील फाइल करने के लिए जो भी 20% 15% था, 20%, एक जमाने में 50% था सर, करेक्ट? ओके, सो नाउ माय 2021 में इट इज एक्सेप्टेड, यू गॉट द ऑर्डर, एवरीथिंग. सो इन माय ओपिनियन फर्स्ट थिंग इट इज टू बी रिमूव्ड फ्रॉम द कंटिंजेंट लायबिलिटी, दैट इज वेरी कट एंड राइट. Now the fact that the company income tax has disallowed this and treated as a unexplained cash credit, you have still retained it as the amount has still retained the character of a share capital, right? Share capital आपने निकाल तो नहीं दिया ना, naturally income tax तो कुछ भी करे, yes or no?
Yes.
So naturally it is continued as a share capital, so nothing to be changed there. The only thing is that you should remove this amount, this disclosure from the contingent liability. And since you are giving the comparatives, so 2021 के साथ 29-20 भी होगा ही होगा, yes or no? तो
yes.
वहां के लिए तो contingent liability है, बराबर है ना?
बराबर सर.
तो वहां लिखे, then you make a statement that this was provided till contingent as treated as a contingent liability till March 2020. However, in view of this fact, it is not required to be considered as a contingent liability as the amount has been settled. Client ने पैसे भर दिए कि बाकी है?
आप भर दिए सर, आप भर दिए.
Okay. आप contingent liability के अलावा कहाँ उसका disclosure करते थे?
सर यही जानना है.
मेरे ख्याल से सर कहीं डिस्क्लोजर नहीं है, क्योंकि कंपनीज एक्ट अलग चलता है, इनकम टैक्स अलग चलती है.
सर कारों में नहीं लिखा था
कंपनीज एक्ट में शेयर होल्डर आर ऑलवेज द शेयर होल्डर.
हाँ वो
आर देयर इन द लिस्ट ऑफ मेंबर, दे आर द मेंबर.
सर वो तो मैंने कहा कि जो फैक्ट दैट इनकम टैक्स ने डिसअलाउ करे उसका तो धर्म है डिसअलाउ करने का सर. जैसे ही आता है तो अनएक्सप्लेन कर देते, जैसे ही शेयर प्रीमियम देखा उसको धाड़ करके ऐड कर देते. कुछ स्टार्टअप कंपनी में भी उन्होंने किया था, उनका तो धर्म है, तब तक वो शांति होती. बट जैसे आपने मेरे ख्याल से प्रमोद जी ने कहा कि बावजूद इससे कि इनकम टैक्स ने इसे अनएक्सप्लेन किया कि जो भी कुछ है, नॉटविथस्टैंडिंग दैट शेयर होल्डर रहता है सर, उसमें तो कोई बदलाव नहीं आता है, राइट सर? बट मेरे हिसाब से आपको कारों में भी इसका डिस्क्लोजर करना था.
ओके. अगर सर कारों एप्लीकेबल नहीं है कंपनी के ऊपर तब?
अरे सर जाहिर सी बात है माय डियर फ्रेंड, तो कारों नहीं एप्लीकेबल है तो मत करो ना यार, तो फिर डिस्क्लोजर का सवाल नहीं है.
ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में नहीं करे कहीं पे भी फिर ये जस्ट आस्किंग.
सॉरी,
ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में और कहीं नहीं करें फिर इसको?
और कहाँ करेंगे सर? एट द मोस्ट वो लिटिगेशन वाला है, बट वो वहां भी कर सकते हैं आप एक्चुअली रूल 11 के हिसाब से.
ओके.
सो यहाँ मैं कहता हूँ सर कि वो लिटिगेशन वाला पैराग्राफ है ना, लोग इट कंसीडर टू बी मोस्ट neglected sibling of this literature.
Yes.
समझी गयो पवन कुमार?
Sir, to add on this to the same questions, sir, how will we report this the same thing in the annual return then going forward?
Annual return of the company?
Yes, sir.
Oh my dear. जैसे हमारे कोई मित्रगण ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात की कि भाई the fact that income tax has raised a query or treated this as unexplained income or maybe disallowed the premium does not in any way impair the position of the shareholders. So they will continue to be the shareholders unless, as someone has said, they have been removed. So that this does not jeopardize the annual return.
So, but they are the ghost shareholders then.
Who says?
Their
Tell me one thing. Where in the Companies Act they have written that if the investment in the company by the shareholders is contested or challenged under Section 68 or disallowed in any manner, they should not be treated as a shareholder. Companies Act में कहीं लिखा है, रश्मि जी?
नहीं.
और अब धीरे बोलिए, कहीं सुन ना जाए कोई.
Otherwise also in
सर बेनामी का नहीं आएगा क्या?
Otherwise also in Vivad se Vishwas scheme we have not accepted that they were not a shareholder. We have just विवाद जो था उसको सल्टावा किया है. हमने जो गलती नहीं मानी थी कि उन्होंने गलती किया था.
सर ये इनकम टैक्स ऑफ कोर्स नॉट माय दैट ग्रेट सब्जेक्ट, बट you know, being chartered accountant, people expect us to know everything, है ना? वो अमेरिका की बात अलग है. They say very clearly that I don't know this. I got expertise in this. 2008 में I had been to USA for one of our clients' case, and he came. He was the normal auditor and the tax consultant. Then they said, tomorrow we have a meeting with another CPA. I said, for what? No, he's coming only for deferred tax. I said, come on, deferred tax exclusively for that? Yes. तो बोला he has expertise only in deferred tax. देखो हमारे तो सीए को सब बंदर के व्यापारी मानते हैं. They expect us to know income tax. They expect us to know the GST. They expect us to know the Companies Act and even income tax also, right? But मैं इस बात से इतना कहने में क्षोभ नहीं अनुभव महसूस करूंगा कि इनकम टैक्स आई नो लिटिल बिट, नॉट इन ग्रेट डिटेल. तो अब मैं इनकम टैक्स के लिए सवाल पूछता हूं आप सबको. विवाद से विवाद विश्वास स्कीम के एक्सटेंशन कहां तक है सर? 30 जून तक है कि जुलाई तक है? कि फिर एक्सटेंशन इज ओनली फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस?
Only for 30th June only.
Sorry?
30th June only.
It is only for payment of tax, not for filing of
पेमेंट फॉर टैक्स है ना? बस बस मुझे कहीं सुना है बट मुझे क्लैरिफाई करना था क्योंकि कहीं गलती से जवाब दे दे and then and there is no point answering yes or no for sake of answering, right? If you don't know, say I don't know, that's it. I'm not a complete man like Raymond's. Correct. But तो ये मेरा एक मेरा confusion था कि but I think that my impression is correct that the payment extension is only for the payment of taxes.
Yes, sir.
मेरी एक query थी यहाँ पर.
हाँ पवन कुमार जी आ गए सर हमारे इनकम टैक्स के.
If I may interrupt.
हाँ.
So this विवाद से विवाद स्कीम जो था डिक्लेरेशन का लास्ट डेट 31st March 2021 था सर. And which has already expired as on date. Now payment date of payment you can without paying additional tax it is 30th June. And even you can pay after 30th June with 1/10 taxes. So what we were talking about that our liability who have already filed. So as on 31st of March who has already opted it. So then their liability has crystallized. I may say so.
Absolutely correct. See, sir, in that case,
yes,
since the liability has crystallized, it should be made. Provision should be made.
Provision should be made in the books of account.
Yeah.
And a suitable note should be given in the notes of account that as on date this has been done, and as on the date of signing of the account, if it has been paid, then that should be reported accordingly. Or it can be paid that yes, it is yet to be paid within the due date allowed by the income tax department. That is my view.
Sir, हानि नहीं आपकी व्यू बताओ. 31st March 21st की ending की balance sheet. I don't think anyone would sign before 30th June 21.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So by that time it must have been paid. So then now you can resort to events after the reporting period. That says that since this liability was there, it has already been paid. Correct, sir? What we do in our firm, that statutory liabilities like TDS, GST, some professional tax dues are there. We give them an extra note that this statutory liabilities, TDS payable XYZ has been discharged as under. So we make one more table just below this thing and then say, this tax liability, TDS on salaries, contract, these, that, etc. Statutory liabilities, PF, paid on so and so date. So this is the additional information we give. So this also helps at the time of tax audit report also.
So going back to the other question, sir. There is a question. The ask is basically, is a company mandatorily required to issue a share certificate SH1 under 2013 Act for the shares issued in 1956 Act era?
1956 में आपने शेयर इशू किए, अब तक क्या करते थे? Tell me one thing. The company was formed, shares have been issued, allotted to. Why these were not issued? This were to be issued.
2013 एक्ट में फिर से इशू करने का रिक्वायरमेंट है और विल बी सेम.
सर फेयर आपको सीधा रास्ता बताता हूँ. जिसके पास शेयर सर्टिफिकेट नहीं, उनको बोलो कि शेयर्स हैव बीन लॉस्ट, फाइल एन एफआईआर, इश्यू द डुप्लीकेट.
सर इनका क्वेश्चन थोड़ा दूसरा है. उनका क्वेश्चन ये है कि पुराने शेयर्स को कैंसिल करके क्या मुझे नए शेयर इशू करने पड़ेंगे क्या? मेरे ख्याल से नए शेयर इशू करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है.
नहीं, क्वेश्चन
जरूरत नहीं लगानी है.
Why do you, I mean, who say this? ये निष्कर्ष किसने निकाला कि शेयर कैंसिल करने का है? Please come up. I have to hear from you. Where is the question? Where is the question of cancellation of share? Please, I want to understand in the first place. मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगा, under which conditions shares need to be cancelled or have
company does not mandate कि आपको रिकॉल करने पड़ेंगे शेयर सर्टिफिकेट.
ये आप प्रमोद जी बोल रहे हैं सर?
हाँ सर.
प्रमोद जी मुझे बताएं कि ये I mean, my only request is that why are you complicating the matter by saying bringing the issue of cancellation of shares?
सर ऐसा है कि कंपनीज एक्ट में कहीं पर मैंडेट नहीं है कि आपको पुराने शेयर सर्टिफिकेट रिकॉल करने पड़ेंगे टू इशू द न्यू शेयर सर्टिफिकेट अंडर SH1. ये कहीं मैंडेट नहीं है.
सर एक बात सुन, उनको शेयर सर्टिफिकेट दिए नहीं गए थे बराबर. आर यू सपोज्ड टू गिव द शेयर सर्टिफिकेट, इशू द शेयर सर्टिफिकेट?
सर वो तो सर आज के दिन मैग्नेट में हम कर सकते हैं. सो उसमें क्या है?
क्या
10 साल पहले
सर 10 साल पहले की स्टैंप लगाएंगे आप?
नहीं लगेगा.
नहीं, 10 साल पहले की स्टैंप लगाएंगे आप? बोलिए सर.
ना.
Then कहने को बहुत खूबसूरत है सर, you can do that, but answer my question. Are you going to put the stamp?
Then you should go for the issue of shares.
Which
by filing an FIR एक शेयर होल्डर से आप
क्वेश्चन लेकिन कुछ और था सर. क्वेश्चन ये था कि जिसका 56 में शेयर इशू किया हुआ है, क्या उसको फिर से इशू करने की जरूरत है? I guess that was the question by the speaker.
Now, gentleman who is adding this new echelon to this question, I want to hear from you. Where is the question of issuing the another share and why?
Right, it's not required in the act. That's
not
the
required in the act, sir.
Right.
केवल वो सिंपली वही कहना चाहते कि हमारे पास शेयर सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है और ड्यू डिलिजेंस के लिए वो कंपनी है तो बोले कि हमारे पास शेयर सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है, ना तो मैंडेटरी रजिस्टर है, कुछ नहीं है सर. वही है ना कहना चाहते सर. सीधा सा रास्ता बताया आपको. The share certificates have been lost. Lodging of FIR. Kindly issue me the duplicate share certificate. तो सर प्रमोद जी आपकी ये दुविधा भी नहीं रहेगी कि 10 साल पहले का आप वो रबर स्टैम्प कहाँ से लाएंगे?
सही बात है. That is true. सर एक क्वेश्चन था मेरा IFC रिपोर्टिंग के लिए. अभी कोविड टाइम के अंदर में IFC तो हैज गॉन फॉर टॉस फॉर 50-100 करोड़ की कंपनियों के लिए. तो उस वक्त में शेयर होल्डर एज एन ऑडिटर व्हाट प्रिकॉशन यू शुड टेक फॉर इशू ऑफ दिस रिपोर्ट अंडर फॉर IFC
और कोविड में कैसे आप कर रहे हैं सर? मुझे थोड़ी
सर कोविड टाइम के अंदर में जो IFC की जो रिक्वायरमेंट है,
हाँ,
तो आज अपने जो टेस्ट करते हैं ऑडिट के वक्त में जिन कंपनियों के अंदर में इंटरनल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग की रिक्वायरमेंट है, वेदर इट इज फंक्शनिंग इफेक्टिवली और नॉट. तो अभी IFC के अंदर में जितनी भी कंपनियां समूह के ऑपरेशंस जो है, जो अपने डेलीगेशन ऑफ पॉसिबिलिटीज है अंडर IFC, वो तो पूरी मैंडेट नहीं हो पा रही है ना.
कैसे नहीं हो पा रही सर? बिकॉज ये तो चीजें मैं समझता हूँ सर, मैं तो समझता हूँ कि ये तो चीजें आपको एनी डेस्क से लेके ये कर से भी कर सकते हैं. यू नो फाइंड दिस थिंग एंड सो मेनी थिंग्स यू कैन डू सर. सर आपने सर आप जो कंपनी का जिक्र करें उसके पास कितने RCM है सर?
कितने
RCM मैट्रिक्स कितने उनके पास? रिस्क कंट्रोल मैट्रिक्स
समझिए कि 20 से 15 होंगे करीब.
नहीं, गिव मी 3 एग्जांपल्स.
नहीं सर मैं जनरल क्वेश्चन कर रहा हूं.
गिव मी 3 एग्जांपल्स ऑफ द RCM which is nagging you.
सर परचेज ऑफ फिक्स्ड एसेट्स हो गया.
हाँ, परचेज ऑफ फिक्स्ड एसेट, राइट है, करेक्ट. तो देन परचेज ऑफ फिक्स्ड एसेट, देन यू टू लुक एट द फैक्ट्स कि कोविड में परचेज ऑफ फिक्स्ड एसेट हुआ ही नहीं है, तो फिर वेयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ कमेंटिंग ऑन दैट?
सेल्स के ऊपर में जब मल्टीपल आउटलेट्स हैं जहाँ पर सेल हो रही है.
हाँ तो सर अभी तो सर जो ये है यू कैन ऑलवेज सर व्हाई यू आर फोकसिंग ओनली ऑन आरसीएम और द इंटरनल कंट्रोल ओवर द फाइनेंसिंग रिपोर्टिंग. बेसिक तो उससे पहले भी बहुत कॉमन चीज है इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन है, करेक्ट, वहां पे भी नहीं जा सकते. You're depending on so many things. So there are various means in doing so. And if at all you could not do, simply say that, it has not been possible for us to do the checking in view of the COVID. Sir, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सब अब नहीं किया तो आप you cannot act as an auditor, sir. Auditor का शस्त्र क्या है, sir? Audit report, right? सर छोड़िए सर, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी में कौन से प्राइवेट
I go to the another question with your permit, sir. Actually,
but sir, ma'am, actually I had to attend a webinar where I am at the receiving end. It was at 6 o'clock. I didn't tell you about that because initially this program was scheduled on 11th of June.
Right, sir.
Then I was given option 17 या 18. तो मैंने 18 was absolutely difficult. तो मैंने बोला 17, hoping that it will be over by 6 o'clock. And then 5-10 मिनट तो वहां भी चल जाता है, सब इनका इंट्रोडक्शन कराते वो होता है.
Sir, we'll wind up, sir. We'll wind up.
नहीं. रश्मि जी ने कहा है तो उनको मायूस नहीं करूंगा. रश्मि जी बोलिए, चलो.
A last question, sir. Sir, subsidiary of a foreign company has Indian shareholder who is the beneficiary of the shares held by him. The foreign company does not have a majority shareholder. In this case, who shall be considered as a beneficiary owner?
Oh, this question is the BO, correct? Okay, fine. Yes. So, foreign company is a parent company or the an investor?
Is a subsidiary of a foreign company.
Okay. Indian company is a subsidiary of a foreign company. Okay. Now, can you repeat your question? Because I find something wrong, disconnect in your question. Please repeat your question. So FC is saying abroad and Indian company IC is a subsidiary, right? So FC is a parent and IC is a subsidiary. And
correct.
Now tell me, so obviously FC is holding more than 50% shares in IC. IC means Indian company. Yes or no?
Right, sir.
Yes. So it is holding, say, 51%. All right.
So, but the question says the foreign holding company does not have a majority shareholder.
How can then you call this company as a subsidiary?
We cannot call it. We cannot. The question is something is missing.
You may call it, provided
only by the control perspective.
Control person, right? So let us presume that a control perspective, right?
Right. Sir.
So it does not hold any shareholding.
They do not have majority shareholders. Majority shareholders.
Okay. So I think the first question, अगर वो control नहीं है board का, so then there is a fallacy in the question.
So I would ask.
There is a fallacy in the question. और आप आगे बढ़िए regardless of this dichotomy.
So one question I have, which I am going through, is basically two listed company are getting merged.
Indian company.
Both of them are Indian company.
So in the first place, let me tell you, in days 103 will be applicable.
Correct, sir. Correct, sir. Okay, the concern is the appointment of auditor.
क्या इसमें क्या वो क्यों कतराते? आपको क्यों निकाल रहे?
Can we have a joint auditor for this new merged company, right?
Yeah, of course. You can have a joint auditorship. Yesterday only I was studying IRB case. IRB is a listed company. IRB, and that I think the SRBS, that means the ENY, and second is Mr. Jayant Gokhale's company. They are the joint auditors. And joint auditor नई बात थोड़ी है रश्मि जी क्या?
नहीं, it is old, sir. But the joint auditor, can the company which is getting merged with another company, the auditor can be single of the company who is getting merged?
अरे madam, even if auditor is not auditor of an existing any of the companies, he can still be a joint auditor.
It can be. What I'm saying, if suppose the main company in which the company is getting merged, the transfer company basically, the auditor can be single also of the company which is getting merged, and the existing joint auditor can get removed.
See, removal bhi ho sakta hai, because kya hai, then a totally different ball game is taking place. Na? The company is not in existence at all. The merging company.
Yes, sir.
Company which gets merged is not in existence at all.
Correct, sir.
So where is the question of him continuing in the company which is already not there in existence?
Okay. So the company which is new, the company in which the company has got merged.
It is known as a merged entity.
Yes, the merged entity auditor, the auditor earlier, erstwhile auditor continues, and if the company auditor of the merging company wants to continue, he has to continue as a joint auditor.
As a joint auditor, yes, yes.
Right.
A fresh ADT one has to be filed.
Correct. So I
चलिए बहुत
think,
मजा आ गया सर, थैंक यू सो मच एंड बहुत विचार हो रहा एंड व्हाट आई लाइक दिस जो क्वेश्चन की जो एक्सचेंज हुई थी ना, रमजट हुई थी ना, बहुत मजा आ गई सर.
Sir, 2 minutes only, sir. We'll take to formally close this and for your vote of thanks, sir.
No, but before that, I must say thanks to all the listeners and the viewers. I must say प्रमोद कुमार जी, आप तो कोई और स्टडी सर्कल से हमको बुलावा दिए थे, बड़ा आज हमारे सामने एक प्रेक्षक बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा लगा. प्रमोद जी आप तो
सुनाए कैसे जाएंगे आप?
हाँ नहीं, वो तो करता हूँ, तो आप ये फॉर्मेलिटीज कीजिए. मेरे ख्याल से तभी मैंने वही गाना सुनाया था ना कि
राजकुमार का सुनाया था.
राजकुमार का क्या वही गाना सुनने चाहते हैं?
नहीं सर, पुराना शो तो पुराना हो गया, नया गाना सुनाइए कुछ.
नहीं, नए गाने में सर, नया गाना फिर रश्मि सुनाएंगे.
जो आप नहीं,
रश्मि सुनाएंगे.
Whatever you feel like, sir. Go ahead.
रश्मि सुनाएंगे.
I am a bad singer.
ना मैं आपको नहीं बोल रहे. हेलो, यू टू सिलेक्ट, एंड ये टीम आपकी कलकत्ता की ऐसा है कि फटक से डाउनलोड करके प्ले करेंगे.
सर कौन है आपके फेवरेट एक्टर?
अरे मैं आप सुनो ना, हमारे फेवरेट तो सब कलकत्ता वासी, आप मेरे सामने वो मेरे फेवरेट है. चलो
किशोर कुमार का कोई भी सुना दीजिए.
किशोर कुमार का नहीं, किशोर कुमार का सुन नहीं, आप सुने रश्मि जी. आपको ये लास्ट टाइम उन्होंने प्रीरोगेटिव दिया था, मैंने तो साधना जी पे फरमाया गया, बहुत अच्छा गाना गाया मीन्स वो प्ले किया था. आज पवन कुमार जी, अच्छा प्रमोद जी, रश्मि जी को ये दिया था आज का.
रश्मि तुम बताओ भी, तुम एक अच्छा गाना सुना दो.
सिलेक्ट कर दो उनके लिए. रात कली एक ख्वाब में आई.
हाँ, आपको जो भी है
प्लीज आप सुनाइए.
मैं नहीं सुनूंगा, आपको तो यहाँ YouTube वाले बहुत होंगे, फटाक से डाउनलोड कर देंगे. मैं संदीप को
नहीं सर, वो प्रमोद जी की इच्छा है कि आपसे सुने.
रश्मि जी ऐसा नहीं, अगर सुनना ही है तो मैं एक गाना ऑलवेज गाता हूँ, एंड वो है इस टाइम, शाम के टाइम पे.
प्लीज गो अहेड सर.
प्लीज कंटिन्यू सर.
प्लीज कंटिन्यू.
एक हंसी शाम को दिल मेरा खो गया, एक हंसी शाम को दिल मेरा खो गया, पहले अपना हुआ करता था, अब किसी का हो गया, एक हंसी शाम को दिल मेरा खो गया.
थैंक यू सर. आप रफी साहब के आपको अच्छे लगते हैं, इसलिए मैंने आपको रफी साहब की क्लिप भी भेजी है.
नहीं, रफी साहब की सीट सर मैंने भी पढ़ी, देखी, मेरी बहन को भी दी, एंड शी आल्सो लाइक्ड इट आल्सो वेरी मच सर, एंड आई लाइक दिस सर वेरी मच. रफी जी तो है मेरे काफी चाहिए सर, एंड मैं बताऊंगा कि मेरे घर में रफी जी की छवि रखी है सर, दिखाता हूँ आपको. वाओ, आई एम सो मच फैन ऑफ हिम.
सर बहुत खुश मिजाज हैं, इसमें दो बात नहीं है.
वेरी लाइवली जी सर,
बहुत लाइवली है, बहुत लाइवली पर्सन,
वेरी दिस एज आल्सो इज सो लाइवली.
अरे इनका परफेक्शन, वो अपने पीछे में पूरा
रफी जी का फोटो ले रहे हैं वो,
जहाँ बैठे हुए हैं वहाँ पर लाइट.
सर मैं रफी जी का फोटो सुबह पहले तुलसी का पत्ता खा के धरती का प्रणाम करता हूँ, फिर माता को प्रणाम करता हूँ जो मेरे पास रहती है.
ओह ग्रेट.
थर्ड रफी जी को सर.
Very good sir.
He is a great person, great person.
Great sir.
Sir, you are also a great person. Sir, ये अकाउंटिंग फिगर्स, ये सबसे रोचकता होनी चाहिए संगीत में, नेचर में. एंड सर अब दिल खोल के बात करने बैठे ही है, तो मैं दिखाता हूँ नजारा जहां मैं रहता हूँ सर. and I stay near the RA colony, sir. RA colony mein my house is next to the RA jungle, and you see the Nazara from my house.
Oh wow.
This is the RA jungle, the much talked about and discussed about. And this is, I'm on a 25th floor, and you can see this, sir. So ये है sir, कुदरत के सानिध्य में रहते हैं.
Right, sir.
Very privileged, sir. In Bombay, you're staying in a 800 acres of the jungle next to the oxygen tank.
Lovely,
Thank you, sir, for बताया sir.
Sir, thank you so much for today's session. We had a lovely, lively session, so many case studies and so many nitty-gritties. Sir, I'll request our committee member Pawan Agarwal ji Junior, sir, to give a formal vote of thanks, sir.
Pawan Junior.
Good evening, friends. Good evening, friends. I, on my own behalf and behalf of CKC, express my heartiest vote of thanks to see Agnes, to see Agnes ji for such a wonderful deliberation. I hope the participant has got a very wonderful overall view of the things that he has spoken, and they have enriched the knowledge about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And sir, we'll be sending this memento to you, sir. Yes, sir. This is just an e-memento for your
Sir,
digital
one
library.
request to all of you that any question which I could not answer may please be forwarded to me, and my email is there with everyone.
Sure,
and I
sure,
will
sure.
definitely answer.
Sure,
Because in the process of answering your question, I learn.
Correct. We agree, sir. We'll make sure. Sure, sir.
Okay, sir. Pawanji, namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you for taking
Rashmi
time
ji,
out,
बहुत
sir.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
sir.
Rashmi ji, thank you for firing salvo
Thank
of
you, sir.
questions. Firing salvo of questions.
You'll receive more. We'll email you.
Please email to me. Please email to me.
Sure.
My-
Thank you, sir. So,
Okay, sir.
we'll close this session, sir, now.
Yeah.
So, small information to all the participants on International Yoga Day. We are hosting a new event for Yoga Day in association with Sister Concern Association. We'll be sending the details by email soon. Request you all